Fucking time for a goddamn rodeo.
Welcome. Welcome back to Paradise, folks, where we get shit done. All right. Let's jump into tonight's recap.
Can we fall into it?
If you're jumping in.
Oh.
Roll athletics check.
What?
Oof.
No.
Oof.
All right. On the 10th.
Sorry. I'll mute myself.
Yes, please. On the 10th afternoon of Arwood Glum, the Bitter Shadow, on a Mundag. Last we met, the Wayward Five, still processing the death of Wiswick, continued onward in the Underdark, their new companion, Talray Glomaruin. They learned that he was sent to find them by Valen, an old friend of theirs. But they quickly learned that he was really serving an entity known as the Little Drake, Glomun, and that he sought aid in finding this lost god Drake who had gone missing. The party promised that they could potentially help him after he helps them get through the Underdark. But as they prepared to leave, Scarlet, attempting to keep her emotions at bay and her sorrow, dipped into the well of darkness provided to her by the Cirrus. But she overstepped her strength of will and began falling to Bloodraven. The party acted quickly and were able to calm her back to a docile state. Sarathil believed he had a way to protect Scarlet. Using his diadem of Athramenos, he cast Mind Blank on her. And for the first time in many years, the Cirrus had no sway, no corruption, and no voice over Scarlet's mind. This new layer of protection can keep the party moving and hopefully provide Scarlet with a sense of a temporary peace, so long as Sarathil is with her. The party pressed onward under the guidance of Nuldo and Talray. The path forward would take them through what was known as the Kiln to bring them to Smoothhold, where they could bring Wiswick's body home. But before they could find the path to the Kiln, Talray sensed a small aberration ahead. As they snuck through the tight tunnels, Kieran heard the voice of a creature shouting for help in Undercommon. They found a two-headed Etten, struggling against itself, as one head called for help, and the other chanted in deep speech, "We have arrived," over and over. The party sprung into action, and after a few blunders, were able to extract an intellect devourer from one of the heads. The Etten began weeping for the death of their twin, but expressed gratitude for being saved. But Curon decided to reach out with an act of kindness, and he cast Revivify to bring back the lost twin. Sven and Fen, as you learned their names were, gracious for a full life again, offered information and aid to the party. He told you directions to the Dwergar strongholds, past the Glomadoon Gap, as well as details about the Kiln, an old central safe haven where the Illithid have now set up their base of operations. In the process of all of this, you heard in the distance the thunderous clap of some conjuration magic deep within the Kiln and cistern. Sven and Fen told you this sound ushered in new Illithid to the Kiln. And he left you with one last warning. If one of them has seen you, then they all have. And this is where we left off. You all are, as Sven and Fen have just ascended the steps that lead up to the Kiln, or the area of the Kiln. You are looking down the dark fog of the path that leads to the Glomadoon Gap. It is, as far as you can see, covered in some of this coolant, as you called it, as this seems to be where that intellect devourer had come from. That is the path forward to find the Glomadoon Gap. You essentially see the three different paths you can take. There's the one that Sven and Fen took that leads to the Kiln. There's the one that leads to an underground lake that leads to the cisterns. and then there's one to your left that leads down deeper towards the Glomadoon Gap. So, what would you like to do?
Did Kieran relay everything that he talked to the
I guess that's true. None of you know what Kieran was talking to that strange creature about.
Just to clear that up.
I just learned a very good recipe for Underdark pastry.
And what
not
is the
what
secret
he says.
ingredient? Oh,
Yes. For brevity's sake, Kieran reiterates all of which transpired between him and the Etten. At which point he says, I believe heading right to the Gloomendome Gap. What was it?
Glomadoon.
Left and to the Glomadoon Gap.
I got nothing right. I believe going left to the Glomadoon Gap fits us very well what we hope to accomplish.
Isn't that right into Mindflayer territory?
Well, the kiln is the real territory that we want to avoid. But yes, there is some there, but that's also where the
Dwergar.
Dwergar.
Skyrim man is just Dwergar Fortress. So, if I may, I think I might have something that can help us get there with potentially a little less issues if you all give me 10 minutes.
okay.
And Kieran is going to go towards the path that leads down the left to the Glomadoon Gap.
Okay.
And he is going to cast Forbiddance.
Forbiddance?
Yeah.
Forbiddance.
Now, it does not technically affect aberrations, and I'm not looking for it to, but
Okay.
it does stop planar teleportation.
Oh, okay.
Or any kind of teleportation. Either by way of Astral Sea, Ethereal Plane, Feywild, Shadowfell, or Plane Shift.
Okay. And it
it's,
covers how far?
4 miles.
40,000 feet. It's actually 7.5 miles.
Wait, what?
It's
Because
40,000 square feet of floor space.
Oh, yes. So it's 7.5. You're right. My apologies. And Kieran is placing it in front of him because it does not say that it's centered on you. It just says affects an area that big.
Yeah, it's touch. You basically touch the ground.
Right.
Interesting.
And it does not consume the component unless you cast it 30 days in a row in the area.
It doesn't consume. Oh, it doesn't. It just acquires the component. Okay. All right. And I do remember now that you were like, can you grind up some rubies for me?
Yeah. Grind up those precious gems.
Okay. Oh wow, and it deals damage.
Mm-hmm.
Not to aberrations, though.
Oh, but not to aberrations. Okay. Okay.
And I'm just looking to stop any kind of teleportation.
Yeah.
should
Hell yeah.
The enemy be using that, because it seemed like the Etten believed that conjuration magic was being used to teleport them around so quickly.
Yep. Spell proofs the area against planar travel. Plane shift spell. Gate spell. Excellent. Awesome. All right, what does this look like when it shoots out?
So Kieran spends 10 minutes enacting this ritual, and the whole time he's got this little bowl of crushed up rubies worth, grand. And he makes this like semicircle that has like arrows basically pointing in the direction that he's forbidding this magic. And as he sits there cross-legged, he's doing some cool hand motions and like chanting and mumbling and By the light of the crescent heart, forbid those from entering. By the light of the crescent heart, forbid thee from entering. And then the ruby powder flies up in the air, and he slaps his hands down on the semicircle, and you see silver light shoot out from it, with a tinge of this red from the ruby, and it's like, sparkling cracks go through the floor and then like dissipate as it looks like a wave of twilight like fog like rolls through the area. Doing
Excellent. So while he's casting that, the 10 minutes that he's doing that ritual, is there anything anyone else would like to do during that time?
I think that Talray is a little curious about Noldo and the creature that he's carrying. So he's just gonna like walk up, keeping his distance at first, but trying to figure out what's going on there.
Okay. So, I mean, if you're just watching him, Noldo is, for the most part, whenever you all are not moving, staying relatively quiet and kind of not hiding, but you'd be able to notice in the very brief time you've traveled with them that anytime you all stop, Noldo will find a crevice or a wall to put his back against, just like wrap the two big golem arms around Wiswick's body, almost concealing it, and then you can just see the head kind of rotating like this, back and forth, panning, as it seems to be concentrating all of its energy on protecting Wiswick.
Yeah, Talray would probably have his gun away at this point, and he would just like walk up. He's fairly tall, so he might. I mean, I guess the golem's definitely taller, but he might be like on his tippy toes, trying to like look over the creature's hulking arms to see what he's bundled up. He already has a good idea of it, but he goes up to the creature and says, I've had my fair share of time spent with the gnomes of the surface. I've never seen one that came from the Underdark before.
You see, Noldo looks at you, and there's this very quick amber scan that goes over your body. Wood elf, Terramron, slight modifications, draconic features. Talray, you are not a member of the Wayward Five. You are not friend to Wiswick, Bilgru, Farlight, Yellen, Jedri, Pedri, Netherrock. And then it just dips its head and doesn't speak to you.
Okay.
Yes, if you don't mind, our friend's body's not something for you to ogle at.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be impolite. I just was a little curious. Being down here, I've realized that most folks around these parts are a little bit hostile. He wouldn't betray you or anything like that, now would he?
Aim your curiosity somewhere else.
Very well. Well, perhaps if I knew something about where we're going, if you know somebody there that you can give me a detailed description of, I could help you track them. No?
No.
So, this Wiswick never told you anything about his hometown or where we're headed?
Huron, how much longer?
Not much longer now. I'll just let the scene play out.
Fighting against myself here. Well, how do you suppose we can trust this rock man over here? if he's just a servant, perhaps we're just walking into another trap.
You don't know anything.
You're right. If you were to assuade me that I was foolish in some way, I'd understand. But it seems like everybody's being really quiet about it. I'm a little nervous.
I imagine Timber's in the back talking with Sarathil, like, so do you have to like replace your friend's bones every so often, or like what if they're not the original bones? Is it go against your code, or like what are your rules for this?
I've mocked my companions, if that's what you're asking. I'm not losing them willy-nilly. I also cast a protection spell when they had fallen, so I know they could easily be retrieved, not damaged.
Like one like falls off a cliff or something, you can just get it back.
In a sense, it doesn't come right back to me. I just have a connection with it.
An ogre club can't even smash it? What are their limits?
Well, they could be. You see, they could be destroyed, but I mean, the material themselves could be completely obliterated.
And as these two conversations are happening, one very hostile and one very friendly, you both all kind of, I imagine you all kind of like look very quickly as that silver and red light shimmers across, because you've never seen Curon cast this spell before, and it's quite impressive the way that it just sort of radiates out like a big a protective bubble, and then kind of melds into the wall, and it just like goes out and fills the space. And you just see it continuing on and on and on and on into the deeps. As you can see, it like kind of lights the path that you're heading down briefly. And you can just see there's like more of these tadpole ponds within this chamber.
Good.
Sorry about
But
that, right?
no mind flayers can teleport in to this space or out. So there's some significant safety in that.
But
At least for 7.5 miles out.
Should protect us out some distance from any reinforcements of the illithids coming in. Excuse me.
But Yvanya, that was so
Yes, quite a trick.
cool.
Thank you, Curon.
Oh, don't thank me just yet. We still have to make our way through.
How do you know when you have like another trick up your sleeve? Like Yvanya blessed you with another spell. Like how do you know how to?
It comes to me in dreams. Similar to the original prophecy that sent me on this mission. This and he looks to Talray, like about to say the Q word, and then goes, yes, on this adventure of sorts, if you will. And you know, I sense it in these dreams, and I see how to form, and it's all based on rudimentary acolyte stuff that I learned at the temples way back when.
Way back when?
Way back when. But if there's nothing else, we should continue forth carefully, though. If we see any more of those illithid creatures, we should know to target them first. Those husk creatures are dangerous. They seem to fall under the control of the illithids themselves, so take out the leader. Should serve us well.
Okay.
How large are these caverns, Sean?
So they vary much. It's a mixture of kind of like carved out places and natural rock. So there's spaces where the cavern is quite literally only maybe like 4 feet tall, and you have to duck down and crawl through tight rock. and then there's areas where it could be as high as 20 to 30 feet high up. There's places where you can see like partially buried ancient ruins of Dwergar holds. You can, not you, Wiswick would have been able to have identified these as Dwergar ruins because of the very unique architecture that they have, which is and all of you would have noticed this when Wiswick originally pointed out Dwergar ruins to you. You can identify Dwergar settlements and structures by the very unique marble that they build their stone structures out of. That has a kind of a very light. But it's kind of like if you took normal white marble but dyed it a very like metallic blue throughout. And then there are veins that run through it, kind of like those ceramic plates that are fused back together with gold color, but it's jade instead. And they are, if you find ruins, besides like being like broken and crumbled or fallen, the actual surface of them though are pristine and always pristine. So it makes it really hard to tell which ones are very old and which ones are recent. Other than like the surrounding area's context. But you're definitely moving through an area that is more nooks and crannies than great halls.
Nooks and crannies.
So this area is, as you heard, or at least at the end told Curon, this is the Unterlands. So they are essentially like hinterlands would be in the surface, where it's just sort of the wild and unclaimed territory, where these nomadic Enten tribes, some Underdark orc tribes, pale dragonborn, other more nomadic creatures live, as opposed to the dwarves who settle in places, and the deep gnomes who are nomadic, but much less not because they're moving around for resources, but because they're trying to hide. Or the drow who have very permanent settlements down here. So it's generally the kind of place, and you would know this as a ranger, where the rocks beneath your feet can give way quite easily. And you can accidentally take a left or right into a chasm. Or there might be areas where if there's significant pressure, or say a very powerful spell goes off, it's very likely that things can collapse down on you.
I don't know if it relates, but I have a natural explorer feature that lets me have certain biomes where I can avoid difficult terrain while traveling with a party, like if I'm a guide. And I can't get lost except by magical means, sorts of things like that. I have it for mountains. I don't know if that counts for the Underdark.
So I would say, I'm gonna say that it because I think it's somewhat relevant, but not quite. I think that there's some features you can gain, but some you can't. I'm gonna say the one feature you can keep, because it's a similar like surface structure, is you can keep the difficult terrain feature. Like so how that would work in our play would be that you all do not have disadvantage on perception checks while you're stealthing. Granted, I don't always enforce that, but that is how it's supposed to be played. I'm not going to give you the can't get lost feature, because I feel like that's very relevant to being on the surface and being able to see the stars in the sky.
There's more features that are in there that I didn't mention, like things like foraging food and tracking creatures is easier. So
I'd say tracking creatures, foraging for food, and the stealth thing, the difficult terrain thing, I'll give you those, but you can definitely get lost down here because you already did.
So giving a general sense of what I already know about where the creatures are located. I guess I only sensed that one that we already located.
Yeah, I mean, you could do another wave of primeval awareness, but in that general space, that was what you noticed most.
I think I'll just start leading the party through the safe area that Curon had marked out, And as soon as we get to a point where it looks like his magic is running out, I might cast Primeval Awareness one more time.
Okay, cool. All right, so you're all beginning the trek into this tunnel. All right, marching order, please. And remember, you don't have to be. I mean, there's some spaces you'll be single file, but you don't generally have to be single file. Who's up front?
Yeah, yeah, I would be riding Mundi, and you would see as I go along if there are any of those pods filled with tadpoles that I would either like smash them with the butt of my gun, or Talray would whip it with its tail as we go along, just to like knock them over and like kill the things.
I'll be behind and doing whatever Monday misses, I'll get with Produce Flame.
Okay.
I'll be distracted in the back.
Excellent.
I'll be second to last then, taking more notes on what I'm seeing here in the Underdark. Now that things have kind of cooled down, intrigued by everything I'm seeing, especially with the ruins that you described before.
Yeah. Kieran, I imagine you're in the middle.
Yep, Kieran will be in the middle with the golem, I expect, who Kieran might ask a few questions about the king under the
Mountain.
You're going to see. No, we don't know it's a mountain he's under.
Sure thing. That's true, actually. You don't. It's not always a mountain that you're under in the Underdark. All right. So, just for this first leg of the journey, whoever would, are you guys stealthing or are you just moving slowly?
Might as well stealth since that gets the bonus
Yep.
if it doesn't slow us down.
Do we know if any enemies are nearby?
I think we're attacking things, right? We're knocking over stuff, so that kind
Well,
of
right now at the opening of this, so I guess let me describe the scene for you. At the opening of this tunnel, there is clearly what was the beginnings. Oh my god, this thing, it's bouncing when I move my arms. There's clearly the beginnings of an illithid hatchery that they were making. It's not as complete as the one you went through earlier. There are just very early pods tadpole tanks here. There's no pods you can see, and the coolant is just beginning to leak and spread into the rock and stone. When you look in the tadpole pools, you can see even though they've only been not watched for maybe an hour, they've already started eating each other and growing. The ones that eat the others growing rapidly. So when you get into them, you can very clearly see there's one that's a foot long versus a bunch of 2-inch long ones writhing around it, and it's just eating them. It's clearly become the dominant one, and it's growing with each one it eats, very rapidly metabolizing the matter into its own flesh. And this is kind of a general chamber area that then kind of leads into the back right, that then you can clearly see where the tunnel kind of dips downward and curves around, and you can tell that curve will lead you into the actual tunnel proper outside of this hatchery chamber. So you can, if you can quietly kill things in here, you're not sure it will. I mean, everything echoes down here, so it's if you're doing it, you want to be careful. Not methods that make the least amount of sound. But I will say, I mean, it is wise. You can clearly tell by this one worm that it's wise to kill these things as you pass, because if you don't, on your way back, there might be a 6-foot-long one that's there to attack you.
Yeah, Talray would definitely, take time to kill all of them as he leads the party, but at some point he would just get lazy, and Mundi would be doing most of the work, or Scarlet behind us.
Kieran would be assisting and might say to the rest to go burn them all, purge the vermin.
The fire and the sacred fire are probably the better method for killing them because it's the quietest. It's not perfectly quiet, but their little screeches are not that loud compared to smacking and splashing the water or something like that.
Yeah. I imagine he tried to use the butt of his gun a few times, and that was way too much work. So Mundi started, blessing his claw-like hand. with his magical flames again, and he was just like crushing them.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you're, I'd say, largely satisfied with the destruction of this chamber, or at least the worms, does anyone, just as a quick note, does everyone have dark vision?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
To 300 feet.
60 feet.
Technically, it's unlimited.
I
But...
don't think so. No.
I imagine Timber is helping Sarathil in the back. Just
Come
being
here,
his like
old man.
little like
Help me, I can't see.
So it's particularly dark down here. Underdark darkness is darker than, say, night darkness. So like I'm gonna be pretty firmly enforcing the dim light for your dark visions down here. So just keep that in mind while you're traveling. So like that means that even if you have dark vision, your perception checks are at disadvantage. If you don't have dark vision, you can't see shit. Unless someone gives you dark vision through magic. Cal kept all those goggles.
Actually, wait, no, I'm actually gonna tap Sarathil and give him dark vision.
Oh, yeah, because you could do that, right?
Yeah.
I think Kieran could do that also.
Oh.
Yeah, but I only get it once.
Because you can do that.
5 willing creatures for an hour.
Oh, okay. That's probably better to be safe for combat. All right. How long does that last, Timber?
How long does a normal spell last? Sorry, I'm looking up myself. I don't know.
Is it a feature?
It's
of
8
your-
hours. 8 hours.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So, what you would see, Sarathil, is Timber, describe how his dark vision manifests, and basically how you would see dark vision as well.
Well, mine's different. Because I have double sight.
True. I guess
can see
before you
perfectly.
had double sight.
Right. So I imagine like, all right, this is going to be a little weird. I know you can't see right now, but I'd never done this before. But apparently, if I go like this on his eyelids, just hold on, just press in a little bit. I think that's supposed to, and then rub.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and all right. Can you see my face?
What's? I open my eyes and I take it. I can see. Like, oh, there you are. Oh my
It's just
god.
like, it should be like just everything should just be gray.
More clear as day. Well, not as day, but
Yeah.
clearer than it was.
Yeah, your vision is black and white, and you can see but everything kind of looks a little mercurial, almost like it's made up of shadows as you're looking at it.
Yeah, the edge of it, the edge of like his distance, is little shadow. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, given that, Timber, you are the only one with perfect vision down here, and you can clearly your perception checks will be normal. I'd say Curon, yours will probably have lower DCs than everyone else's because of your how far your dark vision goes. So I in my head, I imagine the 60 feet that normal dark vision is for you. I imagine is fine, But all right, so I've got our marching order. You begin to head down this small tunnel, and in the beginning, it is it's very claustrophobic. Mundi can just barely squeeze through. The golem can only get through because of its stone shape, or its ability to move through stone. And you're look up, and you can see it's tight, but this crevice goes up really, really high and then disappears into darkness. And the rivulets of the wall and the way that it looks almost, and you can feel really cold water sprinkling down in your heads from above. This was probably slowly opened up by water flow over the ages. It reminds maybe Curon of the resonance chambers in the crypts way back when. In the Barrows back in season 1, although clearly the spell effect is not hitting you. But you squeeze through this, and the pathway opens up, and you can see before you the tunnel splits into two paths. The path on the left is very tight and cramped and small and goes downward, to the point where you'd have to a lot of you would have to squeeze into it, and you can see beyond it. Definitely Timber can see beyond it. It's essentially you're more so jumping down a small gap into a lower chamber. You can see there is a ladder there that likely was pushed up. It's metal, rusted over, and it seems like it's definitely the perfect size for a dwarf to climb down comfortably. But for a medium humanoid, larger, it's a little tight. The right path seems to go upward and spiral off. And yeah, what do you do?
So, should we go down the place we can't fit or the place we can fit?
Noldo, do you have any idea which would be the quicker route to the fortress?
Naldo sends a scan out real quick. And he looks to the left and looks to the right. Right-hand path goes upwards. Glomadoon Gap is further deep. Seems like the right-hand path goes towards a longer route, but potentially safer. Left-hand path, tighter, perhaps ill-fitting for you all, but shorter.
Well, would we prefer being comfortable, or do we all think we can make the squeeze?
I don't know if Mundy's comfortable with ladders.
I mean, I'm flexible, but not... I don't like being uncomfortable. I like being able to move around. What about the rest of you?
I don't know if these old bones can squeeze into there.
Garlet?
Just tell me where to go.
Well, it seems like that's 3 for the wider gap, so let's be a little safer with it then. Just keep our eyes peeled.
Alright.
Okay. And I'd say so as you move to the right-hand path that kind of goes upwards, Timber, with your kind of your doggy senses, your smelling senses.
Your
doggy
senses.
Doggy senses.
The left-hand path definitely has a more sulfurous smell to it. And the right-hand path that you're currently taking, you can smell like hard water, like a very distinct smell of water up that path.
I don't know what water smells like. Sorry.
Like if you've ever smelled sitting water that's just still and that has been sitting there and it has kind of very earthy smell to
I
it.
think I know what you're talking about. I think I
Yeah.
know. I think I know. Okay. All right. Got it.
Or after a rain, that smell. That's not exactly what water smells like, but I feel like it's a good comparison.
I don't say anything off of that. Just in my head, I know that this is the right direction.
Yeah.
I might mumble to myself, "Oh, I think there's water ahead."
You bastard.
All right. As you're moving up, does anyone would you like to stealth at this point or move quicker?
I'd like to stealth, please.
Because you can move at a normal pace stealth because of Talray's guidance. But if you wanted to just be booking it, you could not stealth. All right.
Yeah, Talray would be keeping it quiet as well.
All right, then everyone give me stealth checks. Is anyone looking to do perception?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Huron, I will not give you disadvantage on this if you're just listening. But if you're trying to see things, then you'll have disadvantage.
I mean, imagine he's trying to do both. I was gonna use an advantage,
Oh, okay.
Eyes of the Moon, anyways, to neutral it out.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that in my sense, that's what I mean. It's like you could do both with disadvantage, or you could do hearing with normal. But if you're doing Eyes of the Moon, then that's fine.
And I have proficiency with the favored terrain, so it would just cancel out, right?
Proficiency just adds your proficiency bonus.
Proficiency bonus is doubled for proficient skills when you make an int or whiz check related to it in the favored terrain.
Yeah, so you would just add your whiz. You would still have disadvantage, but you would add your proficiency bonus.
Okay, so it's like I have expertise. Okay.
Exactly. Let's get those stealth checks first. Talray, stealth check.
Mine was 17 on the stealth check.
Scarlet,
20.
Huron,
19.
nice. Sarathil,
Great.
okay. Well, it's a good thing everyone else is pretty high. Timber,
13.
oh, that's
Wow.
slow for Timber.
Too excited about
And
water.
Timber's just sitting there like, ooh, I hope it's really cool. I hope it's nice. I could really go for a nice crisp drink.
He's
all right.
holding it to himself because he doesn't want to disappoint anybody if he has to like if he's wrong about the smell.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and Noldo got a natural 19, so that's pretty good.
Wow. Okay.
He's one with the earth.
He has advantage when he's around stone.
With the earth.
Yeah.
Earth.
Earth. Okay. All right. And then those perception checks for those who wanted to do it.
I got a
Talray?
19.
I'm freaking tripping over my robes over here. I can't see shit.
Scarlet, did you do perception or you just focus in?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a 10.
Kieran?
21.
Nice. Sarathil?
Well,
I told you I'm not doing it. I told you I'm not.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm stumbling all over the place. I didn't even try.
You're getting used to being able to see in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh.
I got a 20.
The shadows are scaring you.
It's scary.
I'm looking for that water.
Okay.
The first pool.
All right. So
Full of
this
leeches.
is all.
Sorry.
These are really good stealth checks. I imagine there's a point. Those of you up front are being very quiet. And you're feeling really confident as you're just sort of like moving through. You can, especially through the drips of water from above, you could barely hear your own footsteps. Noldo is just smoothly gliding through the rock, and you just hear behind you, just sort of like every now and then, like just like Sarathil's accoutrement, just sort of like loudly like shambling, like his like beads and his necklaces, reagents are all bouncing against the arms he has hanging at his waist. You actually legitimately hear like a bone fall out of his pocket and hit the ground and just sort of as Timber is being uncharacteristically risky with how much you can literally see him smelling the air when you look back, like bumping into Sarathil, but not too much, not as bad as Sarathil. Sarathil's just a little bit, I think, Sarathil's senses are overwhelmed. He's not used to being overwhelmed by his senses because they're typically so dulled. And Timber is just looking for that water.
I'll turn around and just like kind of shoot a look back into the darkness, not really being able to see well, and just be like, Kieran, we've talked about this. You need to walk quietly.
Not Kieran.
I know.
Fine.
I know.
Oh, you're
Like,
Yeah.
I can't see well.
okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
God.
No, that's not me. It's
You see Noldo kind of just.
Is that you making all that noise?
No, that's the bumbling fools behind us. Kaze, expect better of you.
What?
Tell them to get it together.
What? What's going on?
Shut up.
Oh.
Shh! We gotta be quiet. We're hunting illithids.
I apologize. I'm a mess right now. This is the first time. I don't know what Timber did to me. I could see, but it's so disorienting.
Stop talking. Shh.
You would all hear at this point, there's that loud thundering sound, but it's distinctly like sounds unstable, and like maybe it didn't work. As you just hear this sort of loud it still echoes through, and you can feel the vibrations in the rock right now, especially in this chamber. You can see rocks moving on the ground, shaking, and it's much louder in here than it was where you were before.
Sean, can I look directly up? How does the ceiling look? Does it look like... I don't know anything about terrain, so I could have I don't know anything about, rocks falling or anything. But
I'll use your 20 for looking up there. Good instincts. You can see the ceiling. It tightens up to a point where somewhere the rock probably converges, but you can very clearly see that there are trapped boulders and rocks between these two where it comes together. And with the vibrations, you can at first maybe it's so loud that the rest of you maybe notice dust falling. But Timber, you notice these rocks are becoming dislodged.
I immediately raise my voice a little bit and, all right, okay, we need to keep moving because there are boulders and rocks right above us, and they're going to fall if we stay here too long. We need to go. And I put my hands behind people's backs and just like slowly push them like.
Yeah, absolutely. Curon and Taure, like you would have at least heard like the disruption of stone, but Timber, you straight up saw that like in the next few minutes, rocks are going to start falling in this chamber. Scarlet, you don't see any of that or hear any of that.
Nope, I'm still.
You're too distracted by the bumbling fools.
Yes, I'm mad at Timber for raising his voice after I literally just. Said
But
Yes.
Timber, you're since
Be
you're in the
mad at
back, you are
Timber.
able to kind of usher everyone forward. Is everyone just kind of moving a little bit quicker at this point?
Yeah, I would
There's
imagine.
too many rocks.
as
There's too
under
many
the
rocks.
back,
We're gonna get squished.
My
And it's go ahead, Taure.
yeah. I rolled perception as well, so I imagine I'm just keeping my eyes forward. And when he says to like hurry up, I start sprinting that direction unless I see something.
Yeah, and for Curon and Taure, for your perception checks, you two things that you would have noticed before Timber noticed the rocks. One, there's very clearly rushing water ahead, like the sounds of waterfalls. And two, when that sound went off, it sounded like it was traveling directly through this tunnel. Like perhaps ahead there's some kind of opening that might overlook where that sound came from. But Timber, you kind of start to rush everyone forward, and literally, quite literally, as you're all like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Oh, and being pushed forward, you hear. And you look back and you see several rocks falling and boulders dropping and cracking. You see like sheets of rock falling off the sides as a boulder smacks against it. And you look back, and the path you just came through is closed.
The path is shut.
Away.
Away.
What a freaking moron.
Get out. You didn't even watch Lord of the Rings.
It's like I'm taking over the Lord of the Rings references from now on, Sean.
All right. So you look back and you can see like dust kicks up. Some of you might be coughing because it's entering your lungs. And you look back and you can see that there's just rubble that has collapsed down from above. You can see like you could probably climb up and maybe squeeze back in, the smallest of you, maybe, but like anyone who's a bit bigger, like Timber and Curon, might not be able to fit through.
What are you saying about Kieran? He's just big bones. He's just.
Well, I'm
big
just saying,
bones.
you guys are both a foot taller than everyone.
Was that our way out?
I guess not anymore.
Well, our way out's technically on the other side by Smoothhold, so no. It's a one-way journey. Doesn't matter what happens behind us. We're always heading forward.
What is that noise? The vibration coming from? That is not. That's going to
Sounds like
cause
it
us
might
more
be
problems.
coming from ahead of us. Just through this area. Go forward to
Okay.
enter the next area.
I will allow you guys to. You all individually can choose to either keep your original stealth roll or roll a new one.
I would like to roll a new one.
I'd like to roll a new one, yeah.
I'm gonna keep mine.
I rolled a
Rolled a
freaking
natural
5.
18.
I'm gonna roll 1 and
Oh, god
There's
damn
this
it!
guy
Wow.
stumble and break his leg.
I rolled the same
Oh,
thing.
I rolled lower. Can I change my mind?
No.
Fuck.
I'll keep my 17, which is better than average.
Yeah, I would advise that.
Sarathil
I want to
got
make it
a
clear
nice
that Kieran has the
spicy.
highest stealth roll right now.
Well, what is it?
19.
Oh, damn it! All right, I just rolled a spicy 18.
Nice.
And I don't mean to belittle your 18. It's a very good roll.
Scarlet, what'd you get?
18.
well,
I rolled a 3.
Timber, what was your new roll?
I rolled a 3 too. It's
You
a,
rolled it-
it's
you
a
did the exact
13, no! Woo!
yeah.
Okay.
I'm too distracted by the boulders.
So as you're moving forward,
So many boulders.
you would notice, or at least Curon, Timber, and Talray would notice that the rock kind of where before it was kind of like two kind of shelves were stacked against each other and tight, it starts to open up more, and you can see that the path you all are walking on is a bit precarious. It is while you might at this point all of you might feel like you're no longer walking on a flat surface but more of a curved surface, and it's quite slippery. And it's quite smooth because you can look and you can see now on the side, on the left-hand side, the walls of water kind of leaking down them. So they've become kind of smooth from age, from the water. And beyond, you can see some light peeling in. So all of you can start seeing a little bit better. And you can see kind of this eerie blue light, reminiscent of previous chambers where there is some light in here. And you can all at this point hear the rushing sounds of waterfalls. But the ground is precariously curved, and it pools into water on the right side. But Curon and Talray, since you're in the front, can notice that the right-hand wall of rock, about 100 feet ahead of you, curves to the right, and you can see it. It seems to open up into a wider cavern. And you can see ahead where the rock is, that is the ground, is smooth. Some parts have some jutting boulders, but it pretty much smooths downward. And you can see the very faint shadows of waterfalls that are ahead of it. Like you're about to walk behind a waterfall.
Yeah, I think Talray is going to like get up to the edge of where there's the opening into the larger area and hop off Mundy and just peer into the room to see if there's civilization or anything out there before sending Mundy off to scout.
Sure. Give me a perception check.
Okay.
Does Timber see any of this?
You wouldn't. You would, just not at first. Like they would see it, and then you would see it. Probably, really, honestly, only like a couple seconds later.
Okay.
They. It's just because you're in the back. It just depends on if they stopped. If they don't stop, then you can definitely see it. Which sounds like they didn't stop at least far enough where you can now see this as well. Scarlet and Sarathil. What you see is you see a similar thing. It's just a little bit harder to discern the details of it. You can tell that there's moving water ahead, but you can't really tell that there's a larger chamber beyond.
Yeah, so with the double perception, I got a 17.
Okay. You peek over, and it's hard to see because you're now looking literally through flowing water, as you can now see that there's a vast waterfall array in front of this part of the chamber. But through it, you can see the blurred, distorted visuals of a very large chamber, where you can see there is a central massive column to the rock here that comes up and then spreads out to the ceiling of the cavern, but then flows outward from it. And you can see there are several, whether they're carved or natural rock bridges that lead to this central column. And as you're looking at this, you hear a very distinct and you see fluttering across the waterfall on the other side of it the distorted visuals of a illithid vessel. As you can see, it has this nautilus shell look. It's probably about the size of a mammoth, I would say. And these several tentacles. You can actually see one of the tentacles dips into the waterfall, and it just sort of gives you this clear view for a moment. And all of you would see this tentacle dip into the waterfall as water splashes. And for a moment, you get a visual, Talray, of the kiln. Where you can see, in just that quick instance, you can see you see the clear ship flying across, and you can see like hawking this central pillar, which is clearly the actual kiln, the typical home where they've carved buildings into the walls, the folk of this land. You can see it's clearly got different strands of that green ichor moving through it, like they are slowly converting this whole chamber into a hatchery.
How fast was that device moving? Like, do I have time to like react to it, or
It's probably moving at 60 miles per hour.
is there any way
You would see it, and you would see it. It veers into a tunnel in the top part of the chamber and disappears.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Talray pulls out his weapon and looks back at the others and says, "Well, this was definitely the wrong way to go. The squid board's got some sort of flying machine that we got to look out for. If it comes back, we're gonna be in trouble."
I would say at least Curon and Timber, you would have been able to like see it once it went past far enough. The rest of you only heard it. The Nautilus ship.
We might be able to cross. I have an idea. Even though this looks like treacherous terrain, I take my bag of holding, I dump out all my explorer bags, take out all the rope, and I ask for everyone's help to tie some ropes together. And I look over at Scarlet and I say, "Scarlet, see all these pins? These, I'm gonna need you to hammer these to the ground. We're going to rock climb and scale this."
Real quick, Kieran's going to mend together the ropes if possible.
Oh, perfect.
Because I do have
Hell yes.
mending.
Hell yes.
Smart.
Nice.
So it's just one continuous long rope as need be.
So basically, as Scarlet and Timber go ahead of everyone, they're hammering with pins the rope into the wall, so you all have a firm thing to hold on to.
Yes, and fasten everybody with ropes and a carabiner and everything.
It all comes in the Explorer pack.
It all comes in Explorer.
Did you pass your belay test before you can start belaying people?
I got to roll for that.
Are you sure that there's no other way? I have to say I've never gone climbing before in my life.
We can put 2
Sarathil's
ropes
afraid of
around you.
heights.
Oh no.
Do you need me to carry you across?
Well, I don't want to. That would be extraneous on you. That'd be a burden. I mean,
Oh, it's
if you could just go possibly behind me.
Yeah,
in
I
case
could tie you to me. I'll after I go ahead with Scarlet, I'll come back for you. Okay?
Okay. I will prepare mentally for this.
So,
While
Sean,
you do that.
Yeah.
these waterfalls that are kind of hiding us at the moment.
Mhm.
Is there distance between them and the wall? Like, could I possibly, like, if I were to say fly down, could I keep myself stealthed behind the waterfall?
I would say no. I would say there's a very tight spot. You could potentially climb down, but as far as flying with Mundy, no. Mundy
Well,
would have
yeah,
to.
I Mundy's too small for me. I can't
Oh, that's
ride
right.
him,
That's
but-
right. That's right. Oh, you have. That's right. You have your own wings. I keep forgetting about that. I would say it's probably a little too tight. You run the risk of disrupting the waterfall. In one, run the risk of disrupting the waterfall. 2, run the risk of being pulled down by the waterfall. And 2, obviously, risk being seen.
So I'm gonna talk to Mundy and say, if we're gonna climb, I believe that it's probably better for you to stay here, at least until our cover's blown. If you hear the signal, come a running, all right?
And Mundy sits.
No. I love you.
Very good.
Just so you guys don't get a very clear glimpse of the kiln through the waterfall. It was just that brief moment where the tentacle went through that you saw some of it. So it's hard to tell exactly like the numbers of Illithid down there or like other structures they've built down there. You just sort of saw that clear glimpse that they are manipulating the kiln and that they are flying around in this space. right. Go ahead.
2 things because I looked it up. Kieran's gonna say to someone as we're looking at these waterfalls, and he's gonna go, back home in Elysia, we had a saying that you should never go chasing waterfalls. You should just stick to the rivers and the lakes like you're
Lakes
used
that
to.
you're used to, of course. I remember that.
I'm gonna give you disadvantage on the check for this.
And then secondly, he's gonna have Steps of the Brave prepared to cast on himself should he lose his footing.
Okay. All right. So the way I'm gonna work
I'm
this.
funny.
You're not.
Thank you for your Stefan. Thank you for your humor. Thank you for your brevity. Okay. So the way I'm gonna work this is Scarlet and Timber are gonna go first, which is going to determine the security of their
Pressure.
belaying line or whatever. Because while they're hammering it, if they struggle, it could turn into something. So, for the 2 of you,
I'm gonna cast levitation, by the way, and I'm
that
tying
makes it a
myself.
lot easier for you.
I'm gonna tie myself to Scarlet just in case.
In that case, Scarlet, give me
Yeah.
an acrobatics check. Timber, give me an acrobatics check with advantage.
I think Talray's going last,
20.
just in case something happens. He figures he'll be like recovery mode.
25.
Excellent. All right,
19.
now Scarlet.
Yeah.
Because you guys are moving very efficiently. You see Timber is floating really only like a couple inches above the ground. You're tied to him. It's mostly for security. You are finding the right crevices. You're finding the right places. You don't slip at all. You're very confident right now as you're moving through. Scarlet,
Uh,
we need you to hammer some pins in.
okay.
So,
Can I give her
This is
like
gonna-
advantage by like helping her like like
It's
directing
not gonna
her?
be quiet.
sure. There's a waterfall in front of you that's roaring.
All
It's
right, all
the
right.
quiet. It's the only place where you can potentially do anything loud. Is
Yeah.
this spot?
Okay.
Athletics check.
Aww.
With advantage, because Timber's helping you.
All right. God for advantage. Fuck. 9.
Okay,
Rolling like shit.
that's okay.
Is
All
it?
right. Yes. All right. Everyone is now moving across using this rope.
Am I being helped?
Yeah.
Timber, you can float back and help Sarathil. So Sarathil, you're gonna get advantage, but everyone else is a straight roll. Scarlet, you're good. Sarathil or Timber, you're obviously good because you have levitate.
What am I rolling?
Acrobatics checks from everyone.
With advantage.
Just Sarathil has advantage because Kaze's helping him.
Okay.
Scarlet, you can help one person.
Thanks
if you
for
want.
helping.
Huron.
But you'll have to make an acrobatics check too.
Okay, that's fine.
So Huron, you have advantage.
Okay.
Thanks for
23.
nothing, folks.
I don't know you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do this in the marching order. So Talray, what'd you get?
Yeah, 22. Also, I'm last.
That's my purse.
Oh, okay. We're reversing it. Yeah. Scarlet, what'd you get?
23.
Huron, what'd you get?
15.
Okay.
With advantage.
Sarathil.
14.
Okay.
Plus
All
1.
right. You all step slowly over.
Doesn't that
And
break this neck?
For those of you, so for Huron and Sarathil, this is probably the most stressful for you two.
Yeah.
There are several times where both of you slip and almost fall, but your helpers steady you. Huron, there's like a point where you have to like strap your staff to your back, and you're like you have such bulky armor that like you slip trying to grab for a grip on the wall, and your whole body slams into the wall, and you kind of are holding on, and Scarlet's grabbing on your cloak and just sort of helping you back to your feet.
Not
As you're
the
going
cloak.
across.
Sorry.
All right.
Sarathil, I imagine your eyes are closed as Timber is just like helping you grab on and move across.
It's like, take this vision away. I don't want to see what's below me anymore.
Open your eyes. You have to look at what you're grabbing.
I imagine there's a point about halfway through where like Talray's behind you two, and Sarathil is like refusing to move from this spot for a moment, and like, but you get him to reach out, and Sarathil, you feel your feet give way underneath you, and you slide down about 3 feet, but you grab onto something as Timber grabs the rope tied to him that's tied to you, and slowly helps you back up. You maybe see one rock slip and fall down, and you see it splash through the waterfall, but it's not big enough to really cause any issues.
Yeah.
As you all slowly get across, the Pittons hold on because of your roll, Scarlet. The DC was only 11.
That's a
We
9.
did it, guys. We
Yeah, I
did
know.
the
I
game.
subtracted your roll from the DC. That was 20 originally. For how strong your Pittons were.
Okay.
Good pittance.
Good.
Oh, I see.
You get some nice pittance there, girl.
See, if you rolled a nat 20, it would just been like, yep, we all get across, no problem. Okay. So you all get to the other side safe and sound. There's maybe like halfway through where some of you might hear like the sounds of another Nautilus craft coming by. But nothing disrupts the waterfall. If anyone looks back, they could just see kind of like through the waterfall, it looks like is there almost like there's a tree trunk in the middle of the space that's made up of this massive stone pillar, and green veins running through all of it. Very reminiscent of carcery constructs. But you can't really see anything else through the distortion of the water. But
I'm
you
gonna
make
go
it
back
safely
and
to the other
recover
side.
our stuff.
Yeah, no problem. With that levitate, you can definitely do that.
I'll be right back. I'll catch up to you guys.
Okay, bye.
Okay. When you get to the other side, you can notice that the pathway continues on in a slight curve to the left, but it's relatively level. It maybe has a very slight incline. But it darkens again very quickly in this spot. Curon and Timber and Talray start to notice, like, where previous chambers had the life kind of drained from them by the presence of the illithids. You're starting to see life return to the caves here, where you can see, like, wiry veined lichen moving across the rocks. You can see some what appear to you like fungus, but they're like closed down. You might even, when you round the corner, see one of them is illuminated, and then it closes down at the mere presence of you, as just sort of a burst of spores shoot out like stars. This chamber seems to have a lot of fungus and life in it.
You said the path isn't upwards inclined?
Very slight upwards incline, and to the left.
Noldo, you said that the Glomadoon Gap was down, correct?
Yes, that is right.
How'd you get across behind
I
the
can meld
waterfalls?
with stone.
Oh, I forgot.
I can go anywhere here, basically.
But
If it
how-
weren't for you, mortal flesh bags. That is a term
Observation.
Wiswick taught me.
do you know that Wiswick is also a mortal flesh bag?
Not anymore.
As I literally realize that, like, he had, like, the Noldo has to, like, meld so his chest is out from the rock so that Wiswick doesn't just get pushed out of
Right.
from him.
Odd.
So I imagine Sarathil at one point opened his eyes when Timber was telling him, you just saw Wiswick's dead face, like, in the wall being pulled across.
That'll be
It's a little inappropriate to speak ill of the deceased.
So don't.
Ooh. Produce flame burn. Go to the ICU.
the Underdark ICU.
No, Scarlet just sends people to the ICU with all her burns.
Dick burns. All right. So, you continue on this path?
I just want to clarify with you, Noldo, that this
Oh,
is
yeah.
going up, and we want it to go down.
Yes, this path will, if my scans are correct, diverge ahead, where one way will lead us deeper.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
We are
Never
moving
mind.
across a wider parcel of Underdark that has much more labyrinthian tunnels.
You love to hear it. Let's go.
All right. So you start to head into this chamber, and you turn, and it has this slight left turn swing to it. And as you go around, you look ahead, and probably about 100 feet down, or actually, when you turn, the tunnel is probably about 200 feet long. It widens out in a curve and then comes back together into the ceiling to a whole nest of stalactites, where those who look up will see, I'd say, given the perception checks, I'll offer you can redo your perception checks, or you can keep your last perception check.
What was my last one?
Your last one was a 10.
Yeah, I'd like to read.
Remember, if you have dark vision, it's still at disadvantage.
Oh, I didn't roll disadvantage last turn.
My last
Oh.
perception was a 12, so I'll try and re-roll that.
The only
Oh,
person
I'm
who
gonna
has
re-roll mine.
straight rolls is Timber.
I got a
Oh my god, I
25 with
re-rolled mine and I
disadvantage.
got the same thing.
Scarlet, what'd you get?
25 with disadvantage. Rolled 18 and a 19.
Nice.
Nice.
There's
Uh,
my rolls.
Kieran?
Pretty good.
Sorry,
showing
still
Pretty good.
16.
Damn.
Talray?
Perception?
I rolled the same
Got
thing as
1 and a
before,
2.
but I got the double, proficiency bonus, so it turned out to be a 17.
Okay. Sarathil.
I didn't roll yet.
Timber?
Perception.
I re-rolled and got the same thing. A nice 20.
I'm still adjusting to the dark side. I got a 4.
The dark side.
All right. All right. So Scarlet and Timber notice this. The ceiling where there's the stalactites, you can very clearly see the faint light of slime. And you can see like these dripping mucus strands where that fall down from each of the stalactites and is very thick mucus. And you can see some of it even strands off to the sides. And it spans the 200 feet ahead of you.
Are there any barrels nearby that I could throw into them and have them climb up?
No. For Huron and Talray and Scarlet and Timber, you see ahead of you as you enter this chamber, it's almost like a wave of light shutting off as these walls are all covered in fungal shrooms that all close down, and the light kind of closed up about 100 feet where they're still lit 100 feet away, and you just watch this starry spores fill the entire chamber as at your presence.
Can I put something over my face?
Cover your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea.
I'm gonna do a similar thing, but I'm gonna be cool about it. I'm gonna use Druidcraft to make a breeze that goes around my face, like kind of just like a little whirlwind that blows the air away.
That's
from
cool.
it.
That's cool. You see the sort of just any spores that come close to his face just sort of puff away. You would also notice that there's a radiating heat from this chamber. Like there might be some kind of greenhouse effect within this chamber, helping keep it moist for these spores and slime. But before you enter this chamber, we're going to take a break.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, folks, we will be back in 5 minutes to enter into the spore slime greenhouse chamber.
Yay.
Good name.
Spore slime greenhouse chamber. Here we come.
All right,
Slime.
Say see you
Or
soon.
glime slime.
See you real soon.
Welcome back, everybody, to Advantage in Paradise. Our heroes are making their way through the Underdark currently. They just bypassed an illithid hub as they were hiding behind the waterfall and moving through. They have now entered into what seems like a fungus slime chamber that is deeply humid. As they look ahead about in this chamber, or this, at least this greenhouse area with the fungus and slime seems to run about 200 feet ahead of them before entering into another chamber. So you've already noticed that the space was filled with spores at your immediate presence. You wrapped something around your faces as you could. What would you like to do?
Scarlet,
Could
do you
I
see
call
this?
for Mundy to follow if it's like a separate chamber?
Yeah,
Yeah,
easily
so
enough. Monday will get over there.
yeah, he could fly, but I don't know. I guess that's pretty quiet.
I think he has a decent climb speed too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Regardless, you could just recall him over if you wanted to.
I think I only get a few of those a day, and I already used one, so he's kind of stuck out for a bit.
Yeah, Monday could get over though easily. He might take him a little bit. He might take his time, but he'll be able to join you soon.
Yeah, very good.
But the rest of you, the chamber is about. The slime is about. I mean, I guess Scarlet and Timber, you have to tell them about the slime, but it's about 60 feet up.
Is that from a creature, do you think?
That's a good point. I don't know. Should I get some and take a look at it?
I wouldn't touch it.
That's probably a good call.
Can I hear, or can we hear any sort of creature movement nearby?
The most you really hear in this chamber is the dripping of water. Some of that dripping might be slime dripping.
Yeah.
And right now, you do not feel any. At the entrance to this chamber, you don't feel anything dripping on you. Down the tunnel, it's just sort of this mucusy sound that you can hear. And occasionally, you just hear a fart almost come out of the slime. Just sort of. And you can hear deeper into the chamber. You can just sort of hear like a low rumbling wind. No, your best guess is it's wind.
Is there any on the walls that is nearby that Timber could look at?
You can give me an investigation check if you want.
Okay.
Scarlet, one other thing that you notice, especially because of your let's say relationship to heat, about halfway through the tunnel, the air, the visuals you're seeing in the air are distorted like on a hot day.
Are we in a giant nostril? I think we are.
Clear that I'm keeping a face covering over, right?
Yeah, suddenly a big old finger comes out of nowhere. Roll initiative.
Love it.
All right, I rolled a 26 for investigation.
You can see the slime is pretty. You look at the ground and you can see there are in the tunnel little pools, little puddles that have gathered, and occasionally you would see a little slime fall in there. And as you look, you can clearly see like some kind of organisms move inside those tunnels towards the slime.
I'll point it out. Timber, come here. There's some on the ground.
Okay.
Just don't touch it.
Good
And,
spot.
Are you feeling that heat? Do you see that up ahead?
My fur reacts appropriately to it, I think.
Yeah, with her pointing it out, Timber,
yeah.
you could clearly see the distorted air waves of a heated vent probably coming out from the earth.
Got it. Okay. I thought it was supposed to be cold down here. After Scarlet pointed it out, can I mage hand a little bit of goo
Out of the water?
A little bit of gook.
little bit of guck, yeah, and just kind of
Yeah.
Kind of like bring it up slowly to our faces, give it a good sniff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, I'm not smelling it.
As the mage hand goes into the water, it has a peculiar reaction with the water. You can see, and all of you would be able to see this as you see Scarlet and Timber kind of both, I imagine, like frog squatting next to a puddle, as you're all like quickly
100%.
covering your faces with
Frog
rags and stuff,
squatting.
and like looking
We
at them
already
like,
did that.
what the fuck are they
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
Timber, your mage hand, when it enters the water, it begins to foam and sizzle around it, as if this is an acidic solution. But you are able to scoop the little piece of slime out. It's got a up close you can see that it's kind of slightly it's a little difficult to really analyze. You might need like a light on it, but it looks like it has a slight if Scarlet lights up her hand, it has like this blue coloration to it, and you can see inside of it there's kind of like this opaqueness where you can see a central nucleus almost. It very much so looks like a large cell. Like if you took the cell diagrams from bio class and just made it the size of a golf ball. And it immediately, once it's out of the acidic solution, it starts to move tendrils out, little pseudopods, attempting but it's like clearly dying in the acid. And you can see little creatures crawling all over it. They're probably about the size of a small, very tiny pebble. Their bodies are completely opaque. They look like little ants almost, that also have like long tails to swim with. It's almost like a long tail and then several arms to grasp things and eat them, and also to crawl if it has to crawl on the rock. And there's about, looks like maybe 100 of them on this thing.
God.
Crawling all over it. It looks like a spider nest just hatched.
I'm gonna put this back.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
As these little ant worms or ant tadpoles are eating this slime, and it seems to be their main diet is the slime.
Does anything react to the flame?
You can see some of the mushrooms will open up and shoot back down, shooting more spores out defensively at the sight of more movement.
Okay. I'll keep this up, like not full blazing, but just enough so that we can avoid stepping in the slime that's on the ground.
Nice.
Okay. So, what is your plan of moving forward? Are you going to just carefully move through, avoiding the acid pools and slime? Okay.
Scarlet, do you want to go ahead, maybe, for that heat that you recognized?
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case it's not safe, I can handle it. I'll let you know.
Appreciate it.
Okay. How far back are you all staying behind Scarlet? Back further enough to be able to see the slime in her fire?
30 feet.
Yeah, 30, yeah. 20, 30 feet.
Okay. Scarlet, what's the range of the light on your flame?
It is.
I take out a
10-foot bright light
torch, and it's Scarlet lights for someone to carry, not me.
I imagine we do that in such a really cool motion. You take it out, when it's done. Pass
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Scarlet, give me a insight check.
Okay.
Everyone else, give me a quick perception check.
Natural 20 for a 22.
At disadvantage.
Oh.
Perception.
No, not at disadvantage because Scarlet's light is here.
Are you kidding me?
Light is there.
I get the same thing 3 times in a row for perception. A 12, a 12, and a 12.
You need a new dice.
I need
Your relationship to the D&D Beyond roller is so strange.
It really is.
It's because he's controlling it.
All right, Scarlet, you got a nat 20 on your insight.
We're dead.
Talray, what'd you get in your perception?
Yeah, 28.
Kieran?
17.
Sarathil?
Or
Timber? 20.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone but Sarathil notices that when Scarlet takes one step into this chamber, her produced flame gets a lot brighter.
I'm not doing that.
Scarlet, you also can with your insight, you for sure know that you're not making the flame bigger. It's being fueled.
That's not me. Something is making it grow brighter.
Does anyone else remember chemistry class? What is it that fuels fire?
It's definitely not oxygen.
No.
Can I roll a survival check?
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Ooh.
You
a
should
good
have said
throwback.
that to
Yeah, right?
Callisto.
Good song.
Instead of starlight,
Um,
starbright.
But
it-
I would say survival check not needed with the inferences there. There is a gas in this chamber that is feeding Scarlet's fire.
What does it smell like in the chamber?
As you're moving closer into it, as where Scarlet started to step in, you get a distinct, subtle smell that does smell like a.
Like a smelly smell?
Yeah, I'd say it has a very sharp smell that burns your nostrils a little bit. That is certainly noxious in a certain way. It's none of you have really encountered like underdark natural gases being from the surface, but it's certainly not oxygen.
Probably
Nolda,
not
what can you...
methane either if there's a smell to it. Over to the gas man here.
I know that this is fantasy gas, so I'm gonna say that now so that Mike, who works in natural gas, cannot tell me how wrong I am about the gas and smell.
Just making sure everything's accurate.
But I'm sure, as Mike would know, there are chambers under the earth that do fill with flammable and poisonous gases.
Does the earth fart?
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
I mean,
This
that's not
nostril-
what fracking is.
This
It's just
nostril.
forcing the earth to fart.
That's what I imagine like the fantasy gas would be called.
Yeah,
Like
the
farts?
fart of Gaia.
No,
Gaia's
like
fart or something.
no, like mother's whiff.
So, this is officially to the Dwergar known as Mother's Whip. That is now canon. Could you imagine Dwergar Rangers be like, I smell Mother's Whiff. We must tread carefully. Turn the torches out.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, we're
they
supposed
don't
to
know
turn
any.
the
They don't know
torch
any
on.
better, but they say that with a straight face.
All right. So
Oh,
then,
okay.
noticing that it makes it brighter, I will. Can I like concentrate to like bring it down and like try and keep it
No.
little?
This is not the control flame spell. This is the produce flame spell. So you're essentially sparking it so that it ignites it with magically in your hands. Any external fuel that hits it is not in your control.
All right.
Maybe it's best if we go forward in the dark.
I don't mind holding it if you want to put out that torch, and just so I can guide you. And if it gets too big, I can dismiss it. I don't think we should go ahead in complete darkness.
Well, we can all see except for... Well, he can still see, too. We can all see. Just not very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I mean you can watch your
Pretty
feet
dense,
and try to avoid the. It's going to be the same as typical. It's just going to be a perception check with disadvantage to watch your feet to make sure you don't step in these pools. And truthfully, you don't know exactly what will happen when you do step in them, but it just seems like you should avoid them, so you can do so. You all, since the days of Terramron, you've all got something to cover your faces, so you're fairly safe from the spores.
John, could I push
yeah.
myself to the front and just fly through the cavern? And
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that. Let's go. Okay.
Talray, can you please explain to everyone what it looks like when you unfurl your barkskin wings?
Yeah, so you would see that when he's like taking off his shirt, and you can see that he has like these folded Feywild like insect
Dragonfly like wings.
Yeah, dragonfly insectoid wings on his back that look like they're a little tattered and like might not work correctly. But you see that his eyes glow with that draconic magic, and the wings themselves sort of, fix each other. Like it looks like they're repairing each other, but you see that along the rims where there would normally just be like an insectoid carapace, it looks more like the scales of a dragon.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he flies along on these wings in as they flutter quickly as he rushes through the
There's an interesting dynamic
hallway.
here where there's the natural bark skin of a wood elf that then kind of like where you see like literal like root and bark of a tree kind of melds and joins with the scales of the dragon to create these wings. This interesting, beautiful fusion of draconic and fey attributes as they do start to move quickly, and you start to float through, hover through, fly through Talray, and it is getting hotter and hotter and hotter as you move through.
Is it like a searing heat? Like
It's like if you were slowly moving towards a very large bonfire, where the heat just starts to get stronger and stronger and stronger the closer you get to it. And with your dark vision, you can see ahead about when you move through about 20 feet, you can see 30 or more like 80 feet ahead, because this is a 200-foot chamber. The air does seem to ripple with heat in the center of the chamber, as if whatever is bleeding this gas out is an exhaust is in the center of this too. Essentially, whatever is bleeding this out is probably what created this whole biome here.
Mhm.
And because it's only like a central bleeding of exhaust is why this biome only extends 100 feet around this this burping earth, this mother's whiff.
I think as he gets closer and he's feeling this pressure against his self, and maybe it feels straining on his weak winged form, he's going to cast a spell, perhaps protection from energy, and I'm going to choose fire to give him fire resistance.
Hell yeah. Quick question, how high are you flying off the ground?
I would imagine a good 10 feet.
It's a 60-foot high. 10 feet? Yeah, the whole chamber is 60 feet high.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too high up. I would say that I want to be in visual contact with my friends for as long as possible.
Okay.
So I would stay low to the ground and
So
try
10 feet up?
Yeah, I'd say 10 feet up, and then perhaps, just slowly start, even though like I don't need to, but like I'll do my best to follow a path that looks like it's safe. You know what I mean? So they have like a general idea about which way to go.
Sure. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. I should have casted Guardian of Nature. That was the other spell I was thinking about. Dexterity saving throw, you say? Do I have advantage because of... Oh, wait, no. Do I have anything for my
No.
Natural Explorer? Okay.
No, this is not mountain related, so it's just straight roll.
Very well. Where is this thing? Straight dexterity, you said, right?
Mm-hmm. Saving throw. Dex saving throw.
Saving throw. Yeah, plus 10. Okay. All right. Well, I got a 2, but that makes it a 12.
Okay. Nothing happens. As you're moving through, the protection from energy is the only thing letting you bypass this heat wall, essentially, without suffering damage. It's very oppressive, though, even with the resistance as you're moving through. And you can clearly feel jets of billowing gas hitting you in the face that's hot as the Earth's belly.
Is there any nearby exits from where I can see? Like anything going like the opposite direction from the oppressive heat?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a straight through journey where it's like this is a tunnel that's sort of like this. and there's a central vent that has been feeding this tunnel and creating this heating effect that creates this biome. If you can get past the vent without being damaged too much or pushed back by the oppressiveness, you can go right through, and it gets better and better and better as you move through.
All right, I'm just gonna grip my teeth and keep going forward then.
Okay, give me another dexterity saving throw.
All right. This one I did better. I got a 26.
Okay, nothing happens. So all of you watch as he moves through, and about 80 feet in, you see him cast a spell. What does it look like when you cast protection from energy?
It just seems like a radiant force shimmers along his body with a sense of the moonlight energy that you've seen his dragon use in the past, and it's just like a quick flash before it turns back to normal. And it seems like maybe you can see the heat waves from the distance, like that are flowing past him, but the area that you see him is clear, whereas all around him has the waves of heat.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you guys see him pass through the center, you see like almost like sparks coming, not sparks, but more like if you've ever this is a very specific thing, but when you throw a plume of like cinnamon through fire, it all lights up like sparks almost, but they're not sparking off. They almost just flow like cinders. And you can watch around him these cinders happen as the air is being repelled by the protection from energy. But he makes it through, and nothing seems to happen to him as he's passing through.
Can I see?
The lights go out at the other end of the tunnel of the rest of the mushrooms.
Can I?
Because the other 100 feet of mushrooms all goes out as he passes the threshold. Go ahead.
Can I see that it got warmer as he got closer? Like, would I be able to determine that maybe I can bring people one at a time and like block them from it because I'm resistant to fire?
The billowing heat seems to be coming from all around in the center, so you would have to be able to completely envelop them, which is not possible.
All right. Well,
it might make it easier for them to move through, but it's not going to stop them from getting scalded potentially.
Why don't you go on ahead and see if you can find anything to help us get through? You can contact us through. I throw her the bracelet to talk to Kieran. He goes by Moonblessed, by the way.
right.
Only on walkie-talkie, or that's what we've been calling it.
All right.
Walking and talk.
I will try. I will move forward and see. I
you
honestly don't.
Sorry.
I do. But I actually didn't roll for my charges to see how many I got back today. But it doesn't matter right now.
Are you keeping your fire lit?
For this first pass, yeah, just to see what happens, so I can see what's going forward. And even if it explodes in my face, I'm resistant to fire, so it won't hurt as bad.
Okay. So you're just moving through?
Yeah, I'm moving to see like how far away from it, like how close I can be to the wall without it totally burning.
Okay. So the closer you get to the wall, you get a little close to those mushrooms, and you can kind of start to hear them like as you get close, and they might just do a quick and shoot out spores all around you. You can see burn like cinnamon on your fire. And you're keeping your eyes on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as you keep your eyes on the ground, you don't have to roll to avoid the because you have light and you're looking at it. I'm not gonna make you roll because you can see where the puddles aren't.
Okay. And I imagine like I'm going and I'm like looking up to like make sure that like I'm staying close to the wall or adjusting as I need to, so it's slow.
But you do have to make a dexterity saving throw.
No problem. Is this an effect I can see?
Nope.
So no advantage. Okay. Oh, 14.
Okay. You're okay. I'll ask, just because you have a fire in front of you, for a quick perception check for that saving throw to see what it is. See if you can see what is causing it.
30-20.
20. Okay, so what was invisible to you at first is now visible to you as you're moving through. As you realize, and like you do the saving throw because you you realize you like stop right before it, and because you can see the fire is giving you a visual of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the light of the fire is showing just sort of this very thin strand of slime. And then you look around and you can see very thin. So thin you can't really see it unless there's a fire glinting through it. There's like a whole tapestry of spaghetti coming down from the ceiling.
So
this whole chamber.
essentially, it's like lasers trying to
Lasers that
avoid
you're avoiding and puddles you're avoiding.
lasers and puddles. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna have to take you all across one at a time. There's a lot here to avoid.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
I mean, I will say real quick though, like how deep do you go to see how your fire is?
Yeah, okay.
It's about every 15 feet you go, the fire, like... But if you get up to, like, 60 feet in, 70 feet in,
Yeah.
the fire is almost just, like, too big for you to handle. Like, it's too... You almost, like, have to, like, stop it right then and there
Yeah.
because it's getting too big.
Is that close to this? Is that, like, right at the center?
No. It's about 30 feet from the center, and you have a feeling that when you get to the center, that the jets of gas peeling out will probably ignite an explosion from the fire.
All right, I will turn around at this point and go back to them to inform them of what is here.
So with this general informing from Scarlet, what I'd like to engage in now to get past this is a skill challenge to see what each of you would like to do to try to help get the party across.
Where am I in this situation? Am I also helping?
You
at
are
the
on the
exit.
other side. You can come
I've
back
already
and
made
try.
it.
Yeah, you've made it because you made your saves and you could avoid everything you did was able to help you avoid suffering anything from this, and you made high enough saves on that to avoid any slime issues.
Is there just an oppressive effect on me as
Yes,
earlier, like where I'm at? Okay.
exactly. So let's roll an initiative just to do a general order of what, so we have an order to ask everyone what they want to do. But also, if we get into the middle of it and something changes, we also have an initiative order for responses.
You're not supposed to say that part, Sean.
20 to 25.
21.
What'd you get, Sarathil?
21.
Sarathil can go before me.
15 to 19.
17.
38.
Oops. 10 to 14.
13.
14.
And that's everyone, right? Yeah. Okay. So we can, this first push through, we don't have to go by order. You can all kind of work together. But if something happens, we'll go with the order. So what would everyone like to do to help this passage?
Kiran will walk forward with his staff to try to find a clear path, both looking and like a walking stick almost, to like sense when it goes into water to avoid that.
Oh, so like you're using it literally in the sense of like a blind person would use a walking stick
Yes.
to encounter obstacles. Okay.
Yes.
And is that just for the water, or are you also trying to move slime away?
I guess slime too. Whatever I can get with it.
Okay.
While doing a perception check.
Okay. I'll kind of roll that into the perception check, in the sense of like the staff is an extension of your perception check, the way you're
Right.
using it.
I'm just trying to negate that disadvantage with the dark.
With
With using the staff to.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, I buy that. I'll accept that argument for getting rid of the disadvantage. I guess it depends on if you're light, if you guys are not using light, which it seems like you might not be with Scarlet's fire.
So I won't use my fire because I know how big it gets. But 2 questions:
Mhm.
if I was to bring out Prongs of the Black and activate it so that the magma shows, does that give off any light?
It does, but it's also heat that can trigger potential explosions.
So then,
Kieran?
Can Kieran cast Fairy Fire on all of us and we choose to fail the dex saving throw so we're all glowing dim light for 10 feet?
It's a great idea. Wow.
And then we're like the mushrooms and they think we're one of them. And then we mix it.
Wow.
Damn.
That's
Nice.
actually a really good move. I'm gonna say yeah, because you're also your dark vision. The dim light will be bright light for all of you, so you'll be able to see very clearly and be able to move through very clearly.
Nice, Kieran.
Hell
Wow.
yeah.
Hell yeah, dude! That is a
Creative.
very good move.
I've been really scrolling up and down my spell list and I've been ignoring the level 1 spells. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So Kieran to the group goes, all right, bear with me now. We need a little light, right? But it can't be combustible. So a little magic light never hurt anyone. However, I don't have the light cantrip because who uses that?
It's on with
But-
it, Kieran. What is it?
Hey, just give it to me to make an encounter where the light cantrip is actually useful.
Yeah, right? Just don't run. Don't.
Don't run.
And then he just taps his staff, and it's like the spore explosion of the mushrooms, but instead it's like this ethereal, purple, twilighty light that like shoots out from the top of his staff and cloaks everyone in 20 feet.
I'm gonna try to save it though. I don't want it.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, I don't.
Okay, go ahead and give me
Because-
that check. Give me that saving throw. What is it? What kind of saving throw is it?
It's Dex DC 20.
I
Damn it!
okay. So you did not make it.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I imagine like Timber tries to slink out of it, and Kieran's like, "No, you're supposed to be lit up."
No, I don't want to be lit up.
As you see these spores that he shoots out cling to your fur as you feel this light come across you.
Oh.
So you go, 2 things happen here. 1, you all have bright light around you. 2, because I love this idea, the mushrooms no longer see you as a threat and light up the entire chamber.
Nice. Nice.
Nice
Way to go,
boy.
Which means
Look
you
at
have 100% clear vision of the puddles and clear vision of slime pillars that you can avoid.
And Talray's just at the end of the hallway, just like.
What are you
picking
all
his nose
doing?
with-
You're lighting up real bright over there. This does not negate the oppressive heat in the middle, though. Does anyone have anything for that?
I'm good. I'm not that good.
Is that a jet of heat? Is that a?
Yeah, now you guys can very clearly see like the distortion of the air as jets of gas and heat come out of these what are very clearly cracks in the side where you can see there are different mushrooms that have clung to that look more like barnacles that are clung all around those gaseous heat.
So you can
jets.
see the gas coming out of these vents, and that's what's causing some heat.
Yes, you can clearly tell that these vents are what are causing this entire biome within this 200-foot area.
So could I use a cantrip as well repeatedly as we're passing through here and seeing these vents? Can I use chill touch and use like a ghostly spectral hand to cover like on top of the vents? So it just kind of like cools the temperature of the air that's blowing through.
I would allow that if Chill Touch was actually a cold spell. It's a necrotic spell.
Fair points.
The chill aspect of that is, I think, meant to really
Here,
be
man,
like,
makes sense.
"Ooh," like I'm scared.
Yeah.
Does
All
somebody
right,
have that-
scratch that. What about frostbite?
Hey, does anyone still have that item?
That's what I was gonna say. That the decanter of endless frost or whatever it's called. The thing from.
Who has the decanter of endless frost?
Probably
is a good
Click.
question.
Probably
I
Wiswick.
didn't.
I think it's on Wiswick's corpse,
Oh yeah. That's who I gave it to. Yeah.
Which is right
That is
next
who I
to
gave.
us.
which is
Yeah.
right there. Like you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
grab
Alright.
it.
Stealing
Yeah.
my magic items
Wait,
already.
Wait, take
No,
his
I-
fire
Sean,
resistance
Sean,
ring too
Sean.
while you're at it.
Wait, hold on. Slow down. I'm
Sean.
pretty
Endless
sure I
Frost.
gave the decanter of endless frost to the
You
person
did.
who's not in the party anymore.
You did. You gave it to
How?
Katya, and I'm
Yeah.
looking at you don't have it in your inventory, and I do remember you did give it to Katya.
Gone.
Yes.
What about frostbite? Because I have that too.
What? Can you read me what
I do
frostbite
have
does?
a ring of.
I mean,
fire
it's
resistance.
not.
Yeah.
Wiswick does have a ring of fire
Not
resistance.
as flavory as I want it to be, but it's just you cause a numbing frost to form on a creature you see within range, and the target makes a Constitution saving throw.
I will allow you to cast that on everyone, but they have to take the 1d6 cold damage.
Sean, could
I
I?
will.
Or actually,
relay
no, I'm
that-
sorry. It's the 3d6 cold damage.
Yeah,
Could I offer a different solution?
that's fine. Yeah, we're just talking.
Is it possible? Are the mushrooms growing anywhere towards these vents, or are they like shining?
There's almost like a gradient where there's the glowing mushrooms further away, and then it gradiates to these like hardened mollusk-like mushrooms that are around the vents.
Could I use Druidcraft to perhaps allow those hardened mollusk-like mushrooms to grow like fat at an exponential rate and maybe cover or reduce
It would
the
take
flow?
a long time. I'm saying it's an untenable amount of time for you to do that with a cantrip.
Okay.
Timber?
Can I make a perception check to see if there's any stalactites that are directly above the vents?
You don't even need to make a perception check because the ceiling is entirely covered in stalactites that are covered in slime.
Can I make a
No.
perception check to identify? Sorry.
No, it's okay. Once you voice this to the party, I have one other thing to try before you start dropping stalactites on the ground to plug these
Are you
things.
dropping fucking
Yeah.
rocks on people?
Yeah.
Hey man, if Wiswick was alive, he could just wall of force these vents.
Yeah,
Right.
No.
That was a
Kieran,
spell.
Can
Sorry.
you move with your tiny hut?
No.
No.
No. All right. Proceed, Timber. Just don't.
That would be such a powerful spell. I am very interested, though, in us potentially creating a weaker spell that does a similar effect, because that sounds really cool for future reference.
Can anybody drop one of those stalactites onto the vent? Maybe plug.
60 feet.
I don't know how successful that would be, but
I have Lily. I can try and pull. She's got 60 feet range. I think. Yep. Total length of 60 feet. I can try and pull them down.
So what you essentially would need to do, it wouldn't be like one stalactite would do the job. You're essentially looking to do a minor like collapse of the ceiling where enough rock falls to cover the vents so that you could crawl over before the vents leak through again. So it's going to be more than just pulling one stalactite down.
Sean,
Mhm.
could I perhaps do a similar strategy that I said before, like where I had the mushrooms overgrow, but instead use a second level transmutation spell, Spike Growth, to maybe make some grading or delay the heat for a little while? I believe it says it twists around, sprouts hard spikes and thorns. It becomes difficult terrain in the area that I cast the spell, and there's damage related to it.
So because it's specifically like, yeah, I mean, I'd allow you to do that, but the players who go through will take the spike growth damage.
Well, I wouldn't be aiming for them. I would be aiming for the wall that the vents are on.
The vents are bleeding like right next to the path. Like you can't hit the vents without hitting the path they're gonna go through.
Mm.
Can I
Well,
use
they
Ghost
don't get
Hammer?
penalties from difficult terrain in my.
They still will take the 2d4 piercing damage for every
Yeah,
5
okay.
feet they move through it.
Can I use Earth Tremor to maybe try and... I don't know if that'll...
I would
collapse
say it's a
or-
risk, because
Yeah.
one of two things will happen. You close the vents, or you make bigger vents.
Yeah. So I propose that to the party. I can either try and drop some of these, or I can break up the ground, but there's a chance that it'll make the vents
Didn't-
larger.
Talray get through with pretty relative ease. Now that we can see where we're going and don't have to necessarily worry about that, we could probably just hoof it through. Just go real quick.
It's just it's very hot.
Yeah, the magical resistance.
Yeah, and
We've been
I-
through-
I do as
Likelihood you'll take damage, but you can hoof it through and just brace the damage.
Sean,
I mean,
I have
it sounds
another.
like-
I have another idea. You said that the area is very tall, right?
Yes.
So, at higher elevations, does the heat dissipate?
It does, but the slime becomes more numerous and the DC increases.
Hmm.
So
was
it's do you want to risk getting caught by slime or take the damage from the heat is your two choices basically. If there's a way for you to if you're thinking of carrying them over by flying.
I was thinking either I can set up some sort of rope.
And especially now, and that's
on
not
both
meta.
sides?
Now you can clearly see it's thicker. The slime is thicker higher up.
If I was to run on the
Scarlet,
side
you were
that-
probably fine because of
No,
your
no,
fire
I-
resistance, but
yeah,
everyone
no,
else, yeah.
if I took them over one at a time, could I reduce the amount of damage they would take just because I'm in the way?
I would allow you to absorb some of the damage, but you will take it full, not resistance.
I think it's
So-
best if we just go at this point. I don't know if there's any easy answers here that doesn't also pose an additional risk.
Yeah, I think you're on
Unless
right.
anyone has something that is an easy fix. I think avoiding the
Yeah.
puddles and the slime is...
2 out of 3 is not bad.
Splash some water on yourselves.
All right. Who wants to go through first?
Kieran will start walking forward and start to pick up his pace as he tries to look for a clear line of movement first.
Yep. You don't have to make any checks for moving through because you can see everything well enough. So give me a con save for moving through the thermal vent.
15.
Okay.
Can I... What material is my +1 shield made out of? Magic?
What would you
Stone?
like it to be made out of? Because you purchased it specially. It's metal though. It's not stone. It would be metal.
Never
'cause-
mind. All right, it's
Yeah.
gonna. No matter. I was like, does it not conduct heat? To potentially use it to
Oh, I
blaze?
see. I see.
But if I'm holding
Um,
it, it's probably just gonna scald me.
Yeah, it would probably just get really hot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna say that if you want to, you can use the Glass Titan armor's effect to absorb half this damage if you want.
How
But
much
that's up to
damage?
you. 22 fire damage.
Nah, we'll take the 22. It's
Okay,
not that bad.
22 fire damage then. Who's next?
Sarathil, why don't you go?
Oh, sure. Of course. What do you need me to roll again?
Con save. I guess everyone can just roll, except for Talray and Scarlet can roll con saves now.
Hold on. Yeah, no. 10. I'm rolling like crap today.
Wow, I rolled different numbers, but I got again to 22 fire damage.
22 fire damage? Oh, Christ.
Yep. Timber, what'd you get?
I didn't roll. I'm gonna turn into a wolf and sprint through to hopefully mitigate something. I got 21.
All right, okay. So you'll take half damage.
Dingle.
What a dear dop.
You take 20 points of fire damage, reduced down to 10.
Yee! It only burns a lot.
So bad.
So bad.
Okay. So you all make through. With some scalds, some burns. It's very hot. You get through, and thankfully you're not getting pulled up by hanging slime or dipping your foot into acidic ooze and being attacked by thousands and thousands of these little acid tadpoles. So I'd say you avoided the worst of it. But you make it through to the other side as you feel that very quick, cool breeze of the Underdark as you leave the chamber of this vent, and to the point almost where it's like very cold now, considering you just came from a very hot chamber. But you're able to move onward. Everyone, give me if you'd like to stealth checks, if you'd like to perception checks.
One or the other, or both?
You could do both. With Calray leading, you could do both.
I just did perception, 19.
Disadvantage for those who don't have Devil's Sight. Unless you want to throw lights up, but then your stealth is not going to be
Also,
there.
aren't we still fairy fired?
Yeah.
A minute of concentration, so the more we're through.
Okay,
yeah, I
cool.
imagine that. Yeah, that was only for the pass.
Turn that light out.
By the way, the path ahead curves and leads into a wider chamber. Everything opens up a bit. And just with your passive perceptions, you can see that there's beginnings of Dwergar architecture. All right, Sarathil, what'd you get?
For perception,
Yep. And stealth.
19 for perception.
Mm-hmm.
And stealth, 15.
Okay.
I feel like I just get a jolt of energy back when I get out of that hot room, and then it's back to being cold. It's like, back to what I'm used to.
Exactly. Timber. Perception first, then stealth.
14 for perception, and a 24 for stealth.
Nice. Talray, perception and then stealth.
Okay. Perception, I got a 19, and stealth, I got a 13.
Okay.
But I've been standing still this whole time, so I get to add plus 10 to it. Oh.
If you want to stay behind.
Okay.
Huron?
Got a 5 for stealth and a dirty 20 on perception.
Okay. Scarlet?
16 perception, 34 stealth.
Okay.
Jill literally like disappears to the ethereal plane.
Yep. Puppets.
I like it.
No. You enter into this next chamber, and it vastly opens up. You can very clearly see now that you've entered into proper Dwergar territory, or what formerly was Dwergar territory. As you can see, vast pillars shoot up to now what is now 100-foot tall ceilings, veined with the jade color through the metal blue columns of marble. The ground is a cracked marble floor where you can see fungus and dirt leaking up above, where you can see all manner of traces of creature, beast, large and small. For those of you who got higher than a 15, you can see that you're now entering into a grand hall that was at one point likely a feasting hall. You can see pits where fires may have been lit, and you can see broken, cracked tables of stone, all leading up to the far right side of the hall, where shadow cloaks what looks like a dais and a small throne. You now realize, entering this chamber, that you're entering through a literal breach in what was probably the wall of this chamber. To your left, the wall extends for the width of this long chamber of about 60 feet. All the way to your right is about 120 feet. On your left, halfway through the 60 feet, is a leftward path, a doorway that leads to the left. And then immediately across, you can see another doorway. You're not sure if there's other passageways down to the right, but you can clearly see these pathways here. And there are several cracks all over, like the walls have tumbled in certain areas. There's one to your right that I'd say, Huron, you can see looks like you see drag marks in the dust, similar to the Noldo area, leaving from that small alcove. And you can see they lead towards where you are right now, towards this crack. And then ahead, you can see down the path to the left, in that 60-foot on the wall to your left, you can see the dim green glow of the coolant of the Illithid. So, what would you like to do?
So, just so I've got our landmarks, directly ahead is a closed door that leads presumably out. To the left on the opposite wall is also another passageway that leads out. To the left, further down on the wall we're on, is green glow of the coolant. And to the right is a crevice. Drag marks leading towards us.
Leaving from the crevice.
Leaving from the crevice towards us and then to the coolant.
Yes.
Okay. So first, I'd say Kieran kind of takes in the grandeur of the room, and he goes, "Old halls of the dwarven kings of old, it seems. I can almost imagine the merriment that once happened here after a battle or a good harvest. Who knows what they celebrate down here anymore?"
See Naldo kind of like...
So,
Well, it
which
looks
way
like-
do we go? You said we need to go back down, right?
Right, though it looks like we may be... Noldo, are we close to the fortress now?
We are about halfway to the fortress, it seems, from previous scans and knowledge. And you've been, and I know seems like you haven't traveled that far, but like the distances between these have been pretty great, to the point, Kieran, where you feel like you're at the edge of your 7-mile area. You're still within it for sure, and you can detect. You know for sure if you're in or out of it because of the nature of the spell. But you know you're on the outskirts, so you've probably traveled about 6 or 7 miles.
Okay. Well, and Kieran will motion to the drag marks that cross our path. And he goes, "It looks like more of our Illithid friends have been through here with more captives. I'm sure you all see," and he motions to the glow to our left.
Talray motions to the opposite direction and says, "So, this is the way we should go then, right?"
Kieran kind of looks at everyone in the party with a face that's like, "You know what I'm about to say." And then he goes, "I don't think we should stop to fix every injustice in the world. But if we can arrive at the halls of the Gloom Lord with some of his people, I think that might make our case much more convincing. Now, of course, we can't be assured that those are Duergar, Dwerga that have been captured here, but whoever it is, it's denizens of the Underdark. And the more we have on our side, the better. Of course, if you all think it's best if we should continue, don't let me drag us into every conflict this side of the Quintarchy.
Kieran, whatever decision you make, I'm all yours. I don't know about everybody else, but
Well, now that we know what we're up against, I think we might have the element of surprise. They may know that we're here, as Svenhen said. But they don't know that we're here, I think. I don't think they have, like, trackers on us. That's not how anything works, really.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from, but, you know, I have a very important mission to do, and I have to take my own life as priority. Otherwise, nobody can complete what I have to get done. If I perish here in the Underdark with you folks, there's no one left to save Glomond. So you can do whatever you wish, but know that I will be taking my own precautions. And with
Of
that,
course.
he steps towards the back of the group.
Of course, I'd expect nothing less.
And I just nod to him and do what I was doing before.
With a harumph, Kieran turns towards the rest of the group and then motions to the
Harumph.
glow. A harumph, I say. And Kieran goes, well, how about some of that stealthy magic, Kaze, to... How long does that last?
1 hour.
I think that should...
I have a potion of invisibility that Timba made for me.
You also have a bottle of alcoholic potion of invisibility.
What?
What?
Do
Excuse
you
me.
not recall the gift Kaura gave you on your birthday?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently I don't.
Woof.
Kaura gifted you a bottle of alcohol that when you
Uh-huh.
drink it, you turn invisible.
I did not write that down.
It's a very nice bottle of wine.
Yep. Okay. Well,
Invisibility wine. The downside is you do get drunk.
I won't use that one right now. Don't want to be drunk walking through here.
Anyone with a passive perception of 14 or higher could notice some glinting from the crevice that the drag marks are from.
You see that?
Yes, I see that.
Yes.
Does it...
Wanna go look at it?
Kieran's gonna go investigate. He's gonna go walk over.
Yeah, it looks. When you get closer, it starts to just look like it might be crystal or gem within the wall itself, the veins of the rock. Then you would notice there's a blue glow from inside that is reflecting this glint off these crystals and veins of ore as you get closer. If you continue, you would see inside that there are Dwergar runes that have a faint glow on the back of this chamber's wall. What you can see is this is a very small chamber. It's about 15-foot tunnel that's very small. You'd have to crouch down to get in, but you would see that if you kind of like, I imagine Kieran kind of like dips down and looks in and sees Dwergar runes in the back of the wall. You can see that there's clearly like the establishments of a camp there, where it seems like this was a hiding spot for people passing through. where there's like repeat evidence of camps. Like several passerbys have used this as a spot to hide from. Probably a while ago, it used to be hiding from other dangerous things, but now illithid. But they were discovered. But there are Dwergar runes in there.
They would be more closely related to Dwarvish than Undercommon, right?
Yes, for sure.
Anyone here speak or read Dwarvish?
No.
Well, that's okay.
I actually do.
There we go.
Yes,
to
in
us.
my studies, hopefully the language hasn't changed for the past millennia, but let's see what I can make here.
It has. Fun fact.
Okay, so do you crawl in?
Yes.
Okay. So when you get in there, you can see the scraps of probably dozens of different people hiding here. Like you see clearly there's the camp, there's a clear like spot where there's a fire that may be lit. And then there's just like rags and even some bags that were left behind. And some books even that you can see all around. This is a space that's clearly just sort of been littered with whatever people left behind when they were passing through the Underdark. It's like a geocache. But the runes glitter, and they mainly read as a warning to anyone passing through here. You can tell they're fresh magically, like the last denizens of this hidey hole probably put them here, and they're meant to glitter when people pass by, particularly humanoids and not aberrations. It's a specific Underdark illusion magic, and it says, the longer you spend within their psionic sphere, the darker your dreams, the more your thoughts twist. And near the end, you hear their voices. Run from their voices. Run from their voices. And it scrawls out, kind of like you see some almost runes.
I'll crawl back out to the party, and I'll relay that information just as you read it to them. It says, the longer you stay in this sort of psionic field, the darker it gets. You start to hear voices. If you hear your voices, you should begin to run. It's also warning us to stay away.
Where do you run if you hear voices in your head?
Whoa.
I'm not certain.
You would also remember that Callisto specifically said his psionic sphere was what kept the husks out of that one chamber.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to presume that illithid innately have the ability to project the psionic sphere. Depending on how powerful they are is how far it goes, basically.
Well, if we take these ones out, that's less of a sphere they have control over. That means less fear. I mean, just less of them is better, right? Did you find anything else in there, Sarathil, or just the runes?
You said there was just a camp that was there, an old camp that...
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. It's hard to tell what's in there. There's just a lot of piles of detritus and belongings and books and
You didn't loot them for gold?
and
What kind of
bags.
adventurer
Just-
are you? Get out of my way! Church shows on the sign and starts rifling through. Give me your gold! Give me
Do you actually go look?
No! Other people can. Huron is an outstanding citizen.
Would anyone like to go rifle through the remaining bags of the old passerbys?
Mundy will do it.
Well, Mundy doesn't have an understanding of.
He's looking for food.
Timber will do it. Timber will do it.
I'll
Monday.
Yeah,
do it
or
too.
yeah,
Let the
yeah,
criminals
Scarlet,
do it.
Yeah, let Scarlet and Timber take care.
They're
of
not getting into heaven anyways. It doesn't matter what you do.
it. I already know
Well,
that's
not
Kieran.
baptized.
Okay.
By the light of the moon.
All right, both of you give me. Both of you give me goddamn investigation checks.
Loot the
Can I give
corpses,
Scarlet
loot the
advantage?
corpses.
Yeah, if you want to give one of you advantage.
Well, first roll was a 29. Second one was a 27.
Woo!
29.
Damn.
Criminals for the win.
Okay. All right. So collectively amongst that, with that high of a roll, amongst all of it, you can find like a significant amount of gold. You can find it's a matter of how much you take. Like there is at least 2,000 gold amongst all of this laying here.
Give it to Timber. Put it in the party gold.
Party gold.
You know, it's a mixture of things like gems and gold that all make up 2,000 gold worth of coin.
Can use it as tribute for the Glum Lord if need be.
Mm.
At least 300 of that 2,000 is diamond.
Nice.
I thought you were going to say blood soaked.
If I may.
You can
So if
have
you wanna-
just 300.
Okay, so 1,700 gold's worth of gems and
I got it.
coin, 300 diamond to Kieran.
I didn't even think that's what we were gonna find, but praise Levan.
Sean's gonna kill
You're
someone.
welcome.
Hey, it's
Sean's
only
gonna
like
kill
it's only
someone.
like, you know, the whole like, hey, there might be some bad shit in the next few chambers.
That's the real question.
Break the pots.
This
Break
is
the pots.
This is the jewel merchant, the random
Yeah.
jewel merchant in the mountains.
Yeah,
What
right before the big
Um,
boss fight.
What
Who's
is
going to die
that?
next?
There's a few other things you find.
we
Um,
got
Scarlet,
a dragon.
There's one bag you find that you start to look through, and inside you find a journal. Inside the cover, it's you very clearly in common read, "This journal belongs to Douglas Muldoon," and it's clearly a journal of poetry. There is a pocket watch in there, made of brass. When you open it up, there is a small, well-made painting in the top of it of a fair-haired woman and a young boy. But it still works. And you hear it clicking of it. If you're looking to just pawn it, it's probably worth 10 gold. But in the Underdark, knowing what time it is can be very valuable. You would also find, with that high of a roll, you can look through and you find at least 3 minor healing potions. You find 2 that are cracked and it's all spilled out. You would also find here's like loose weapons also. An old key and a potion of water breathing.
Mm.
Hmm.
And then what'd you get again? What was the your roll again?
29
29.
with a 19.
In the back, you dust it off and you find a a book that has several scrolls in it. One is a scroll of shield, the spell shield. One is a scroll for absorb elements. And then you find a scroll for a tiny hut, actually.
Mhm.
Amongst that hoard of scrolls, you also find a shield.
Like an actual shield?
An actual shield. Well made. Has a hammer embossed on the front that has the hammer itself is made of ruby. It's definitely like dust caked, but it's pretty pristine. And then you also find along with it, behind the hammer, just the handle, it seems, of a hammer.
Like, is it?
There's no actual
no
hammer.
head?
It's just the hand. There's no head of the hammer, but you can
It's
tell
not
it's
like
a hammer.
buried under anything.
Nope. There's just no hammer. You can see runes similar to the Dwergar runes glowing above you on it. But these two items definitely hum with magical essence.
Okay. With this simple weapons that are lying around, can I pick up a few just random daggers?
Yeah, easily. I'd say you can get 2 daggers.
Yay. Okay. Well, I'll come over carrying all of this and just kind of.
I'll help her out.
Timber is helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
carry-
mainly
I-
what
I-
Timber's help was carrying stuff. Just throwing stuff back at you, like, catch this.
Yeah.
Hold this.
Yeah.
She starts throwing daggers.
Can't
You're like,
kill-
oh shit! You got to use key points to catch him.
When I found the scrolls, I get sad for a second because I know that Wiswood could have used those. They probably had all of those spells anyway, but I don't know that.
You do know, based on what everyone told you about purchasing, is that you
Anybody
all
can
can
use
use
them.
those spells. As long as you have the innate ability to cast spells, you can use them. Not everyone can use them.
Yeah.
Well-
Right. I'll just go bring all of this over to the party, and I will. I have a potion of invulnerability, so I'll give Sarathil, Timber, and Kieran those healing potions.
Gonna need it.
And I'm gonna pocket the key.
What,
Seriously, you know Identify, right?
I do know Identify.
Okay.
what size
just saying
health
that-
potions are these? Sorry.
They're minor. They're just basic
Minor. Okay.
minors.
Cool.
I'll pocket the pocket watch. I'll give the journal, Douglas's journal, to Kieran.
It's filled with very, very mediocre poetry.
Thought you might find this interesting.
But also, if you scroll through it, like if you flip through it, like it's mostly poetry and notes. But towards the end, it is some accounts of his last days.
This might be interesting reading for a slow night.
Sarathil, are you able to tell what these are holding the shield and the hammer handle?
I'll take it from her. He's like, if you give me a little bit of time, I certainly can.
They seem important somehow.
I'll move off to the side, and if we have time, I don't know if we're moving
It's
forward.
up to you
at all.
guys if you want to spend the time to do this. You could also take a short rest while you do that.
I could take a short rest. Yeah.
I think a short rest might do us well. Maybe we hide in. Is it like kind of spacious in that little hole?
Yeah, you could all fit in there. It would be you'd all be kind of like next to each other, but you could definitely fit in there and relax.
I didn't know you liked to cuddle, Kira.
Truthfully, it's kind of like the exact size of a tiny hut, like in there.
Speaking of, I have these scrolls. One is. Can I read them? I don't
Not
think I can
really,
read them, right?
truthfully.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
They just,
These scrolls.
it's the kind of thing you'd hand them to Sarathil and you'd be like, huh, garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he
they
doesn't know
say.
any of those spells.
I don't know what they say, but they seem useful.
Sarathil, you could easily tell it's a shield spell, an absorb element spell, and a tiny hut spell.
Ah, a couple of interesting spells here. Maybe you can want to hold on to them for you all that do not cast magic. It's a shield spell and a tiny hut spell, and a third one was
Absorb elements.
the sword elements. Thank you.
Who has the least amount of protection? They should take the shield.
I think the only person who can use shields is Curon and Talray.
No, I meant.
I
the
have
spell.
shield as well.
Oh,
But
the
there's
spell.
not really.
Howie doesn't have shield.
I don't like you.
Shield's a reaction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if I could use that should a big hit come out of nowhere.
I think you should take it, Kieran.
Okay.
Curon, would that put your AC up to 27?
28, actually.
Curon,
I mean, it's only for a
your
round.
shield is a +1, right?
Yes, sir.
So Sarathil, you're going to identify these shields?
Yeah, for short resting. Let's do it.
Or the shield and the
Sword.
Cool. So the hammer is
Or hammer, sorry.
It's all good. The hammer is a special design of Dwergar make, which is a sun hammer. Despite there not being any sun down here. Or actually, it'd probably be better known as a mantle hammer within Dwergar culture. As you're holding it and investigating it, like you understand the rhythms of the runes because of your spell, and your thumb just sort of traces the runes in a specific pattern. And all of you, as you're relaxing and, I don't know, eating jerky, would see this hammer in his hands just... You see the actual head of the hammer is made up of plasma and magma that comes out of it magically and looks like those pictures of the sun, that it just looks like the roiling plasma of it.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's a hammer lightsaber basically. It does not deal any bludgeoning damage. It deals entirely fire damage. But it also deals an additional it's a battle hammer or a war hammer. I don't remember what it is. Warhammer. It deals, one of its dice is fire damage and one of its dice is force damage. And it's a +1 and it's a +1.
Because it's a lightsaber, right?
That's nice.
The shield is you can tell it has temporary uses within it. It has 3 charges of essentially a reactive wall of force. So essentially, as a reaction, you use the shield. You plant the shield in front of you, and it springs out a half circle wall of force, essentially 15 feet, because it's 5 feet on either side of you, that will protect against any damage that comes at it. So, like if a dragon breathes fire at you, you can nullify the entire effect for anyone behind that 15 feet. It has 3 charges of it. It seems like they don't restore.
Too bad. And then it's just a regular shield.
And then once it's all absorbed, it's a regular shield. Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, it's just a regular shield if you don't want to use the charges up until then. It's
Oh
not like
yeah.
plus
No,
one
no,
shield
oh,
or
no, no,
anything.
no, no. When you, it's a plus. Actually, I'm gonna say, because I think it's interesting. While the charges are still within it, it is a +2 shield. But once the charges are absorbed and used up, it returns to a basic shield, basically.
Oh damn. Okay. Interesting.
So it's a +2 shield, but once the magic's used up, it's down to a normal shield.
Gotcha. Well, I'll relay that to everyone, but with the hammer, as I like slip my finger back and then have the plasma and everything consolidate
Try
back into a
not to
hammer.
Look excited. Because
Yeah, you
I
can see
already-
any like dust falling from the ceiling, just sort of off of it.
This hammer has clearly magical properties. It deals fire and force damage, as opposed to just regular, just smacking and with bludgeoning hits to your enemies. It's activated by guiding your hand across these runes. Seems very powerful. I wouldn't be able to wield this, so which one of you would want this?
I look at Sarathil and then look at Scarlet. Look at Sarathil. Look at Scarlet. Look at Scarlet.
Alray's just sitting there and he's like, I'm sure I could use it, but
Shh.
I'm sorry, I did the wrong accent. I'm sure I could use it, but seems a little messy to me.
Seeing Timber's eye reactions, I will say, please take it from me. It's getting quite heavy. I'm holding it to Scarlet.
I already have one though. Do you want it, Timber? I already have. I don't.
It's okay. No, you
Need-
can have
no,
two of
I-
them. One of them
I
just
don't-
needs a
I don't
friend.
I don't need two of them. I
It's-
also have this. I have a sword.
You can't just have one hammer be by itself. It needs a friend. Just here you
Just
go.
consider your other hammer to be your blacksmithing hammer.
Just
This won't work. This won't work with blacksmithing. It'll literally melt the metal.
Here. Just throw your other hammer in here, and when you need the blacksmith, you can use it. It's not going anywhere. Just use it
Alray's
something.
pretending not to listen, but he's actually kind of interested. Just like, scratching his, what's called cleaning his nails or something like that.
You don't need it. I can just use this one.
It
was a gift anyway.
Oh no, I have no idea how to swing a hammer. I can handle a potion and a vial. I cannot swing a hammer. Trust me, you do not want to see it.
Huron, you don't need it.
I appreciate it, but the staff of the Crescent Heart is the only weapon I need.
I don't even offer it to Talray. I'm just like, okay, good.
And the shield here seems to project a wall of force at will. Unfortunately, it can only be expended 3 times. But while the shield has the magic imbued within it, acts as a much stronger, fortified shield. Once the charges are used, it becomes just a simple shield again.
Well, unless anyone else would like the shield, I guess I can put this one I just purchased away.
Well, seeing as you already have a shield, I was actually kind of looking for this for myself to take some hits away from.
Of course, I
the
apologize. I
impending.
shouldn't have been so presumptuous. Can you even use shields?
Can I use shields? I guess I
don't think you
forgot
can.
that. Yeah, I can't forget
You're
that. I can't.
Frail,
I don't know.
weak.
I don't even know what a
mind.
shield is. You're right. I can't even use this silly thing.
I guess you
don't-
could technically you could technically attune to it and keep it on you, but not equip it, and then just use the reactions. But the +2 is useless for you.
Yeah, that's what I figured. No, you're correct. I don't know what I was kidding myself. That's right. I thought I can. Turning my arm, just keeping this up right now.
I'm so sorry. I shall use it to protect you in any engagements coming forward, friend.
And Kieran, you can see that the shield itself, the base shield, is very nice. It's just not strong. Like the base shield is like it's made of that same like a similar like black like dark metal blue material with those jade veins through it that all lead to this a massive ruby in the center that is part of the hammer at the center. Like generally speaking, if you use up the shields, like the shield itself will sell for a pretty penny as just like a nice art, like the gems alone in the material.
Does anyone recognize the make of this kind of shield? Scarlet?
Do I recognize the?
Give me a history check.
shields?
Can I take a look
It's
too?
made by Gerber.
8.
Yeah, Calray, you can make a check.
Gerber?
Just a bunch of
What?
babies. I don't know. I don't know.
Calray, what'd you get? 14. Scarlet, what'd you get?
It's a brand name. What?
Scarlet, you may be a very good smith, but you're not a academic when it comes to smith work. You know the ins and outs of your hometown and the small neighborhood around Cendric's Forge is really the extent of your like. You can tell it's made really well, and the craftsmanship is through the roof because it's sturdy, it works, and it is adorned, which is unheard of. You have to spend massive amounts of gold for an adorned shield to actually work properly. Most people you know who do that, like they sell shit equipment that just looks nice. But this is good. This is nicely made.
I'll just go on and on about how beautifully it's made and avoid the question of how it was forged.
Talray, you have no idea.
Come on, I lived in a dragon's hoard for most of my life. The
doesn't
only thing
mean
I
you
know
had-
is magic items.
And literally an hour ago, you said, I don't know anything about the Underdark, basically.
Maybe I was just lying to let them know to make my estimate. You don't know.
I mean, the most obvious thing is that it's clearly Dwergar make because of the design of the jade veins and the blue metal. You would see Noldo scans it for you, Kieran. Just this is 500-year-old shield made by the Gloom Lord of that time, it seems, based on the markings on the inside of the shield matched against my memories. Not far back, not as many memories. Zirkneblin lost Noldo by that point, or after that. But it is well made by the artificers of the time. Lost art. You will not find a shield like this in the Underdark again.
Well, then we are very lucky to happen upon this little treasure trove of gifts from those who came before. We shall use it in their memory. And should we meet the Gloam Lord further along our path, maybe it's time to return it to its rightful owner. You know, bereft of a few charges, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Now that you've rested, examined some new interesting items, potions, you press onward into the next cavern. As you're going down this cavern, once again, I imagine you're stealthing again.
Yes, and you know, I think we're all prepared because this is the one with the glow to it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we're all being very cautious, right, gang?
Mm-hmm.
We're all being prepared for anything.
I cast Pass
Camp
Without Trace.
counselor Kieran.
I just
Okay.
don't want a repeat of what happened last.
So stealth checks with Pass Without a Trace, and perception checks for those who would like to do them.
Hell yeah.
Let's get those stealth checks first.
No disadvantage for perception or disadvantage?
Disadvantage for those who would normally have it. Unless you choose to just go by hearing. It reduces what you can learn, but you don't have disadvantage with hearing. Stealth checks, Sarathil.
It is
+10 also.
8. What'd you say?
Plus 10.
Plus 10.
Oh, 28.
Nice. Timber.
25.
Oh, wow.
Damn,
Talray.
32 on stealth.
Hell yeah. Huron.
22.
Nice. Scarlet.
38.
Perception checks. Sarathil.
Oh, I didn't make one.
It's a disadvantage.
I don't see anything. I rolled the same thing twice. Oh my god, 4.
Okay. Timber.
I have dirt in my eyes.
Okay.
I got a 1.
Okay. Talray.
18.
18. Okay. Huron.
22.
Scarlet.
18 for hearing.
Okay. All right. So as you enter into this chamber, you can see clearly that like the illithids have passed through here, but they didn't set up a full hatchery here. Stealth-wise, you're all able to be very quiet and quick. You guys are fucking crushing it. The shadows of Timber are keeping you stealthed. As you pass through this chamber, there's points when you're moving through. Let's say, I actually, real quick, what's the marching order?
I'd probably be last.
Maybe second to last again.
Kieran will take the front if need be. No one else does. He'll be like, well, off we go then.
I'll be up near him checking for traps and shit.
Okay. Timber, you in the middle?
Yes, sir.
So you're all following Huron, and I always imagine there's just sort of like a foot of dim light coming off of Huron's staff. And Huron, you're stepping through, and you can see in your colors of twilight and your dark vision. You kind of are pushing through this space, and you kind of round a corner, and you stop for a moment, shocked for a moment, as you can see in front of you, about a foot away. You just see this twisted face. As you see a husk is just standing there in front of you. No movement. You could just hear the guttural sounds of their vocal cords reacting in pain. As you can see, their flesh is replaced with that it's almost like nanobot in the way that you can see these writhing like swirls of construct, and you can see it all wrapping around, and you can just see like one eye that's staring at you, like beating and moving quickly. The victims of the husks, unless they're already dead, are still alive while they're being controlled by the construct material. You can tell from this creature that's staring right at you.
Does it seem conscious to me?
The way the eyes are moving, there's a sense of fear and pain and horror, and the way the guttural sounds coming from the throat doesn't seem to be controlled by the construct. As you get, for all intents and purposes, what you look at in front of you is a person who looks like they're imprisoned within whatever is converting their body to material.
Do I sense that this is a magical force that is taking them?
It has a part of it is magical, yes.
All right, Kieran will move up and whisper very quietly to the individual and goes, "Don't worry, we're here to help." He's gonna cast a spell magic on them.
Okay. At what level?
3.
Okay. No roll needed. You watch as the matter becomes... It just sort of like peels away and falls to the ground. But you watch as the person, their eye looks at you, like you can sense they're recognizing you as a person here to help. And slowly, as this magic whiffs away from them, you can watch as the light fades from that eye. As they die, as the material falls away from them, you can see as it was replacing parts of their primary organs and flesh, they collapse into your arms, at peace at least. As you can see a drow woman, or what you could best understand to be a drow woman, based on how much has been converted into matter.
What's the drow's primary deity?
Their primary deity would be, you would know this since you, no. It depends on the drow.
It's fair.
But based on your understanding of drow, though, which would be all you have to go off of, the mountain drow, they have a primary deity that is known as the All Spirit, that is akin sort of to the Fae in some ways, in the legends of it, but they believe that all things have an animating spirit that is all part of the All Spirit. And that's why they have such strict rules of like respecting the things that you hunt, and giving, honoring those things. And so you, at the very least, would understand their basic religious practices of the All Spirit.
In Elvish, Kiran will whisper, "May the All Spirit guide you away from the pains you feel here now. Be at peace, friend." He closes their eyes, lays them down, and turns to the rest and goes, "Well, it seems once the constructs start taking a mortal, there seems to be no respite for them, except for death."
You turn back to continue in the passage, and you can see through a light fog and the dim light of your staff dozens of humanoid shapes trapped in this same prison.
I slip Scarlet a potion in her hand. You're going to need this for the next fight. It's a potion of speed. It'll give you haste.
Thank you. God, I have so much in my inventory right now.
Everyone give me wisdom saving throws.
Oh, never mind.
Oh.
While you're rolling those, I'm going to settle some perception check stuff. So for Talray, Curon, and Scarlet, you can hear ahead of you is probably a split in the road, a left and right. You can hear the faint sounds of clamor to the left, of struggle. To the right, you can hear the bubbling and movement. The bubbling reminds you a bit of the tadpole ponds, but so it's to the left you have struggle, to the right you have bubbling. It's very faint. Scarlet and Talray can barely hear it. Curon, you can truly hear it. But between you and that fork is about a 60-foot path where the chamber opens up into almost like a bowl. And within that chamber are dozens and dozens of husks. None have detected you because of the shadows protecting you from timber. But you're in the heart of a swarm, essentially, that you're walking through. And you can now see that unless they were dead prior to conversion, those being converted by the swarm are still alive while it's happening. until they're fully consumed by it, or at least their brain is consumed by it. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
What about those wisdom saves?
Wisdom
Oh, I'm sorry.
saves.
Sorry. I forgot to conclude the wisdom saves. Everyone, what was your wisdom saves? That was hilarious. That was a hilarious reaction.
Wait.
But wait, you're supposed to hurt us.
How fucked you
I
are.
want trauma.
Yeah.
All
Lisa,
right.
don't we have homework you have to give us?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Come on.
Kieran, what was your wisdom save?
23.
Okay. You pass. Scarlet, what was your wisdom save?
9.
You do not pass.
Yep, didn't think so.
Timber, what's your wisdom save?
16.
You pass.
Wait, really? Oh.
Sarathil,
18.
you pass. Talray,
19.
you pass. Scarlet, you it's very small. It's almost, I mean, and given who you are in your whole life, it almost is like fucking background noise to you for fucking your whole life. Is just you hear very faintly in the back of your head just the whispers, the whisper of a whisper in the back of your head. As you just get a mild headache, as you feel like you've almost stepped in through a veil. I'd say you have an understanding, at least, that this, because you actually freaking read the message, you know you've entered into the psionic sphere of the Illithid. You didn't read the message, you just think you're going crazy like you usually do. But you know that you because you failed, you know you've entered into the psionic sphere. And you have 1 point against you within that psionic sphere.
1 point of madness.
I don't do well against these.
Oh, points? I don't like this. I'm throwing in the
This
towel.
This happened. My character.
Throwing in the
died.
towel. I don't like points.
Should've listened to your dragon, buddy.
But Shannon, what did Scarlet say at the end there?
I said.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. All I said was, "We're here." Or we're here. They're here. I can hear them.
That's what we're gonna end.
Yeah. 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 Credits roll.
Credits roll, yeah.
Yeah. That should be the cliffhanger.
Post-credits scene, you see a little illithid tadpole writhing around inside Talray's brain. No.
Oh no!
Just
The home time. But are you?
Of course.
Of course I am. Thank you guys for joining us tonight for our deeper adventure into the Underdark. More to come next week, including minis, potentially. But thank you so much for joining us in Paradise. Join us for our other programming throughout the week. Granted, some of it might not happen this week because it is Thanksgiving week. Are you folks doing another Play in Paradise tomorrow, or are you taking it off for the break?
Nope, we will be around tomorrow night, Tuesday, Gloomhaven. The whole gang should be all ready to go.
They're alive.
Excellent. Awesome. Wednesday night, we won't be having Relaxing in Paradise. But there's a small chance I may stream earlier in the day because I'm not working. So I might do, if I'm going to be working on things I'd normally work on in Relaxing, I will stream it, because why not? I do have some Illithid minis to complete, as well as some interesting terrain stuff to complete. I'm trying to build the Glomadoon Gap, potentially. But join us potentially on Wednesday for Relaxing Paradise. I don't believe there's going to be a Scales Above this Friday. Because of the holiday, and there is a 50-50 chance that there will be a Sean and Shannon Power Hour, because it all depends on if Shannon can get home in time. So this is probably most likely going to be fairly inconsistent this week for our typical scheduling, but please join us again next Monday as we delve deeper into the Underdark and try to at least help free these folk of the Illithid threat before moving onward to Smoothhold and Elysia.
Into the belly of the beast.
Exactly. We are gonna raid someone right now.
Misrolled Adventures.
Oh, Excellent. We're going to raid our friends over at Misrolled Adventures. So go and give them our love and say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.